3:51 on the calendar in the matter of Hutchinson versus Glenn. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
You're suing the defendant because you say he assaulted you.
Yes, Your Honor.
And injured you badly.
Yes.
So let me try to put this in perspective. You and the defendant dated in 1992.
Yes.
And not since.
Right.
And this assault happened in what year?
1997.
Just this past summer, in July. What were you doing near him in 1997?
Well, first of all, I wasn't near him. I was walking home from the store, and he came up behind me and viciously attacked me. Your Honor, I have pictures of my injuries.
You mean for no reason out of the blue, he just came up behind you and viciously attacked you?
Yes.
So tell me how that happened.
Well, first of all, we wasn't exactly friends after we broke up. It was a lot of animosity between us, and he told some people that he was going to beat me down like a dog on the street when he saw me, and that's what he did.
And now I'll take a look at your pictures. You were arrested for this assault, sir. Is that correct?
Yes, I was, ma'am.
And according to your papers, you had a trial already.
That's true.
Correct?
Yes.
And the jury found you not guilty.
That's correct. Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
That doesn't prevent you from suing here. You understand that? That's why you're here. Now, you want to tell me your version of this incident, sir?
Yes, ma'am. We broke up, and she just keeps harassing me.
How?
Just keeps coming back, harassing me.
How? I know you keep saying that. How does she harass you?
Over the phone, harassing me. She vandalized my car. I have restraining orders.
How many restraining orders do you have against her?
Well, I have this one restraining order against her.
This was in 1995.
Correct. She doesn't even think that it's enforceable. She just keeps coming back to me.
Well, when you say keeps coming back to you, she comes back to you by phone?
Yeah, by phone.
You say harassment. Tell me exactly what she was doing, sir.
Well, she'd come back. She'd call me on the phone all the time, harassing me, cursing me out, cursing whoever answers the phone out, you know, if it's a female or whatever.
Stop shaking your head. It's
She
not impressing me.
She has like a fatal attraction. I don't know. I can't shake her.
So tell me what happened on this particular day, sir.
The incident, the day?
Yes.
The day of the incident, she had been harassing me all day long, harassing my wife.
You're married now?
Right. I got married, and she had been harassing my wife all day.
How?
Just calling.
You mean on the phone? Well, I don't want you to use the word harassing anymore. I want you to say what she'd been doing. She had been calling on the phone?
Calling, harassing me, threatening. Threatening me, you know, threatening my wife with bodily injury, threatening her with if she sees her come outside, she's going to do some damage to her. You know, threatening me with I'm going to get my boyfriend to, you know, beat you up and all this. And so
what did you do?
So I started to call the police, you know. I called the police all day long, you know. Kept calling the police, they never showed up. If you take a couple of minutes, Your Honor, you will hear it right here on the tape.
Tapes to the police?
Correct.
I'd like to hear them.
So I was calling. What can you do about somebody who constantly harassing you, making threats to your wife? And
where are they threatening you from?
They're threatening from a phone booth, and they've been threatening me. I had a restraining order put against them. And
they're still calling you after you have the restraining order already on file?
Now she's calling and threatening my wife.
Threatening to do what?
Threatening to do violence. Just keep calling. I put a block on my phone. Going to phone booth calling, and she vandalized my car. I had that
Did you
on.
report that already?
Yes, I reported that once, and I'm not sure what I can do because, you know.
Is she making death threats?
Yeah,
Okay.
serious threats, like she's going to do violence. She knows what she looks like. She's going to come to the door and you know, break in, try and get in the house.
What's your address? Oh, is it a house or an apartment?
Apartment 206.
What's your name?
My name is Tony Glenn.
Glenn with a G, George?
Glenn.
Okay, we'll be there.
Okay.
All right. Bye-bye.
Health Emergency Dispatch 20.
Yes, I was calling. Someone was supposed to come out to my house because I had someone making threats against me and my family.
What was the address that you gave?
Pearl Street, apartment 206.
Okay, is this Tony Glenn?
Yes.
Okay, what's going on now?
Well, the person's still calling, making threats. And the police haven't came. I called about an hour ago.
Yeah, we got your call. As soon as we get an officer out there for the report, they'll be out there.
All right.
Thank you.
Oakland Police 22.
Yes, I was calling trying to find out. I called the police about 4 hours ago, trying to get someone out to try and deal with this situation. Someone keeps calling, threatening my family. I know the person, but they're just constantly calling and harassing me, and you know they won't stop calling and making threats on people's lives.
This is Mr. Glenn.
Yes.
Okay, I see your call. We'll be there as soon as we have an officer available.
I must be very busy, huh?
Yes, extremely busy.
Okay, because I called like at 4.
Yep, we're that busy.
All right, turn it off,
All
sir.
right, well.
Turn it off, sir. Okay. Now, after you got frustrated because the police didn't arrive,
Right.
what happened?
Okay, after she kept calling and calling and calling, and then finally, after police never arrived, I said, look, what is it you want? What is it you want from me? You know, you keep harassing me, you're harassing my wife, she has nothing to do with this. And so I asked her what she wants, and she was like, well, you meet me at the bakery, and we'll settle this, you know? And at this point, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go down there and see what's going on. So I go down there, and then when I get down there, I walk up to her, and she proceeds to try and spray me with the mace, the pepper spray, excuse me. And at that point, you know, we get into a fist fight, and you know, she's been asking for a confrontation for you know, she just wants to get me into a confrontation with her simply because I'm a man, and the way it turned out exactly the way the police saw it. This man's beating on this woman, you see, and that wasn't the case, you know.
Where was the pepper spray?
She had it in her hand. She came out the bakery. I walked up to her, you know, to find out what's going on.
So she told you to meet her at the bakery?
Correct.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
He kicked me with his foot in my face several times.
Before or after you sprayed him?
It was before I sprayed him, and the pepper spray didn't even work.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 37-year-old Gail Hutchinson is suing her former boyfriend, Tony Glenn, for medical expenses, claiming he repeatedly kicked her and slammed her head on the pavement.
So tell me exactly what happened.
And when I walked up to her, she proceeded to spray me with the pepper spray. You know, she didn't hit me directly in the face. She hit me somewhere in here. So it didn't immobilize me, I guess, as she wanted it to. And at that point, I was defending myself, Your Honor.
Okay,
And
so you hit her?
So I hit her, yeah.
Yeah, a few times.
Yeah, I hit her a couple of times. I mean,
A few
Yeah.
times. She got a black eye. Right? Now you hit her where else?
I hit her in the face, maybe I hit her in the head, and, you know.
You hit her pretty good.
I think I threw her down.
You have any papers from the criminal court?
No, but you know, they found me not guilty.
I know they did.
The only
All
other-
right, Miss Hutchinson.
First of all, Your Honor, I never did harass him.
Just a second. Yes, you did. Just a second. Yes, you did. I have to explain something to you. I'm like a truth machine. Now, nobody has cause to put their hands on anybody else, but as many times. You called this house and spoke to his wife. You called the house many times. You called this house and spoke to his wife. You called the house and spoke to him. Now, you know that, and I know that. Right?
Right.
All right. Now, then you did say to him, Then you did say to him, I'll meet you at the bakery. Right?
Right.
All right. So he didn't just come up from behind you out of nowhere and beat you up. And you did have pepper spray. Right?
Right.
Now, Miss Hutchinson, get over him. Do you understand? You pushed this man to the limit. What did you expect him to do? You've been calling and threatening him in his house. Time and time again. You've been calling and threatening his wife. Time and time again. You tell him to meet you so that you can settle it. He's frustrated because the police are not responding. He comes to meet you. And when you see him, you take out pepper spray and you spray him. What did you expect him to do? Say thank you very much?
Because it wasn't like that. He kicked me. He came from behind me and he pushed me to the ground and he kicked me with his foot in my face several times.
Before or after you sprayed him?
It was before he sprayed me, before I sprayed him. And the pepper spray didn't even work.
That's not true.
It didn't work.
That's
it
not
didn't
true,
work.
Miss Hutchinson, let me explain something to you. This is why your case was dismissed in the criminal court, because you lied. And when you lie, a fact finder, that's me, or in the criminal court, that was the jury, they don't know what to believe and what not to believe. Do you understand?
Yes.
So when you tell one lie, I don't know whether the second part of what you're telling me is the truth or a lie. All I know is you say first you told me a story that he came out of nowhere and he assaulted you. And you didn't know why. And you kept shaking your head when you said that, when he was telling me the story about how you were calling and harassing him, you kept shaking your head, no, 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 that's not true. And it turns out it was true. And you came to that meeting with him that you asked for. So he didn't come out of nowhere. You told him, meet me at the bakery. You just told me that that's what you told him. And you came armed with pepper spray or mace or whatever else it was. What did you expect him to do? He's married. He doesn't want anything to do with you anymore. Leave him alone. Otherwise, you're going to have difficulty with him. He's already had a restraining order against you. I mean, that took time to get. Judge gave him a restraining order against you. You have to leave him alone because you're going to, you know, you can push somebody so far and then they're going to lose it. And then you say, oh, I didn't do anything. But you did. You keep pushing his buttons. You can't do that, Miss Hutchinson. You're stalking him. There are laws against stalking. There are laws against the kinds of things that you were doing to him and to his wife. And you have to stop it.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You have to stop putting on an end up.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Tony Glenn says his former girlfriend, Gail Hutchinson, was a fatal attraction who harassed him and his new wife. She's suing him for beating her up, but he claims it was in self-defense.
Now, Mr. Glenn, that doesn't excuse the fact that you probably overreacted to what happened when you hit her. You understand that. The pepper spray hit you around here. So you weren't, in fact, you understand that. The pepper spray hit you around here. So you weren't, in fact, at risk of your life at the time. You really hit her pretty badly because she's got a black eye and she has some other bruises on her. You went a little overboard. But I don't think you went overboard, sir, out of any maliciousness. I think that you had just had it. I mean, have you seen her pictures?
But Your Honor, she was fighting back. It's not like...
I'm sure she was fighting back.
She was fighting back.
Listen to me. I'm sure as calm, as sweet as she stands here now, I'm sure she was fighting back.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to award her any money. I am going to dismiss this case just as the criminal court dismissed the case because I think in that case the jury was right. You have to stop pushing his buttons, madam, because after a while you push his buttons, you never know where it's going to end up. Do you understand? That's all. This case is dismissed. Now listen to me. Let me tell you about your countersuit, sir. Listen to me. You're suing her for the expenses of living together in 1992. when you were living together. I read your countersuit. Mr. Glenn, why are you looking at me with a look of incredulity? You say
because
in your answer, listen to me, sir. You say in your answer that you lived together and you paid all the bills in 1992 and she was supposed to pay you rent. We are now in 1997, right?
That's correct.
Just a second. Did you ever sue her before for the money that she owed you?
Well,
that you say...
But I had to pay it back, though.
Mr. Glenn, listen to me carefully, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
This happened in 1992, right?
That's true.
Did you ever sue her before?
No, I didn't sue her before.
Good. Right. Now, you're also requesting money that you had to pay for a lawyer, right?
Of course. I mean...
And just shh. Where is the bill for the lawyer?
Here it is.
Let me see it.
I mean...
Let me see the bill. Mr. Glenn, what I'm telling you is you're not totally blameless in this whole thing, sir, because you really shouldn't have gone down to the bakery to meet her.
I've done everything in my power to try and,
Listen to me. What I'm telling you is...
Your Honor.
Shh. What I'm telling you is...
Your Honor.
Shh. What is this?
Your Honor, may I say one thing?
Just a minute. What's the name of your lawyer, sir?
Cornell Solomon. May I say one thing, Your Honor?
Yes.
My wife just gave birth last night.
Right.
That amount of money has just totally wiped me out.
Just a second. What I'm asking is, first of all, one of these amounts has been changed.
No, it has.
Oh, yes, it has.
No, it has.
Shh. Oh, yes, it has. This was a 6 and it was made a 7. I know, or a 7, it was made a 6. I don't know exactly. This was a 6 and it was made a 7. I know, or a 7, it was made a 6. I don't know exactly what it was, but you say that this one is $600?
That's correct.
All right. How much did you pay the lawyer in total, sir?
$2,500. That's a lot of money, Your Honor.
Just a second. You paid the lawyer $2,500? Give me his phone number. Give me his phone number. Because I'm not entertaining your lawsuit for this money that you say she owes you from when you were living together 5 years ago. I'm not doing it, Mr. Glenn. Okay. Just give me a minute, please.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Could you return this card to Mr. Glenn, please? Mr. Glenn, first of all, let me tell you, I like your lawyer. And I think that he probably did a very good job for you. You did, in fact, give him an initial retainer of $750. He charged you $500 a day for each day of the trial. You still owe him $750, right?
That's true.
Okay. But you're going to pay him, aren't you?
Of course. I got to.
Very good. And I believe, Mr. Glenn, that you are... Do you work, sir?
Yes.
What kind of work do you do?
Janitorial.
You live in the apartment where you're the janitor?
No. I work at a separate community, child care.
Okay. How long have you been working for this company?
5 years.
How much money do you earn?
About $1,400. $1,400 a month.
A month? And what about your wife, sir?
She isn't working at this time. She just had a baby last night.
Is that your first baby?
Yes.
Yes. Her first baby?
Yes.
Boy or a girl?
Boy.
How big?
He was 5 pounds, 13 ounces.
Little boy. I'm giving you your legal fees, sir.
Appreciate it.
Judgment in this case is on the counterclaim for the defendant, $2,500. Leave him alone.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Judge, this is number 339 on the calendar in the matter of Ayala versus Howard. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Your complaint alleges, sir, that the defendant dented your car when she sat on it.
Yes, that's true.
So why don't you tell me how that happened?
Okay, it all took place at the Velocity Car Show, which is held, I believe, in the area of Redondo Beach. The defendant had asked me earlier that day that she wanted to do a couple photo shots on my car.
What kind of car do you have?
I have a 97 Volkswagen GTI.
Volkswagen. Is that a special kind of car?
Well, in that car in particular there's only 500 in the United States that were brought over from Germany.
So you were showing the car at this automobile show?
Right. I invested at least $5,000 prior to that date into that car.
What do you mean you invested?
As far as money for rims and exhaust systems to modify the car.
So you have this very special car. You're showing it at an auto show. And what were you doing there?
I was asked to go there and do some modeling.
Who asked you?
The president from the actual car club called Borsic.
And how did you two get together?
Well, I had a friendly relationship with her prior to this. And the day of the show, she approached me when she arrived and asking me if she could use my car to pose for a photographer that was coming for her own personal use. And I asked her, what kind of posing are you going to do? And she said, well, I have this pose that I sit on top of the hood, and I
That's not true.
Shh, just a second, I'm going to get to you. You have this, she said to you.
There's a pose where she gets on top of the hood, and she takes a picture, and it's a real nice shot. And I said, well, have you ever done this before? And she said, yes, I did. I've done it before. Nothing happened. It's a great shot. So she reassured me by doing that, and I was easily convinced to letting her do that.
Okay. According to you, you agreed to let her sit on the hood of your car. Hmm? And you sat there of the car and took a picture.
Right, but the photographer asked him repeatedly, about 3 or 4 times, if it was okay.
Of the car and took a picture.
Right, but the photographer asked him repeatedly, about 3 or 4 times, if it was okay. Hmm? And he agreed to everything, as far as if we were going to actually sit on the car or model around it or whatever we were going to do.
How did you sit on the hood of the car?
They asked us to actually just sit sideways, kind of facing each other with our feet dangling down on the side of the car. And he took a few
But you were
shots
the
of
only
that.
one who sat on
No, there was another model.
That sat on his car? Mm-hmm. Was there another model that sat on your car?
Yes, there was. Her name is Kalan. She sat the opposite side of the car, at the same position, same area, just on the opposite side of the hood.
Okay. So what happened after the pictures were taken?
I didn't notice the dent until I got home when I was just waxing down the car. And as I was waxing the hood, I noticed that there was a dent in the hood. Well, I felt that it wasn't my responsibility to take care of that, so I called her the very next day, let her know.
3 days later, not the next day.
Listen.
Sorry.
Next day, let her know.
3 days later, not the next day.
Listen.
Sorry.
I hate this thing. Don't interrupt him.
Sorry.
I mean, I could be mistaken, but it was the week after the show. And what happened, I let her know that the fact that she sat in the car, the dent was put into the car. And I just let her know that I didn't feel fair that I had to pay for those damages since it was for her cause and she was the one that actually implied the dent into my hood. Mm-hmm. She was very humble and actually very generous, saying that she would pay for all damages and you know, embarrassed a bit. But I mean, it was basically a verbal agreement where we both agreed on a date.
Do you have some pictures of this car, sir? That's why I understand that this monitor is in here. You have some pictures that you want to show me?
Oh, yes, I do have some pictures that I need to show you.
That's the car. Where's the damage?
There's a damage. If you see where the light hits, it actually dims down. Mm-hmm. If I can approach it, I'll show you.
I see it now. Is that the side you were sitting on?
Yeah, it was.
A day or so later, is that right?
Yes, you're right.
How come you have such an expensive car and you didn't know? A day or so later, is that right?
Yes, you're right.
How come you have such an expensive car and you didn't notice this terrible dent in the car until a day or so later, sir?
No, actually, I noticed it the same day, but I called her a day or so later.
First of all, how much do you say it's going to cost you to fix it, sir?
Well, I have an estimate here from the dealer service area that I deal with. They appraised the damage. That's the amount that I'm suing for.
$561?
Yes.
All right. And what's your position?
Well, first of all, when we were taking the shots, he stood there and watched the whole shoot and said nothing. He was even suggesting different poses. Basically, to make a long story short, afterwards, I saw him polishing off the car. He did not approach me with any concern about damages. I actually went over there off the car. He did not approach me with any concern about damages. I actually went over there and looked at the car. There wasn't any damages. And it wasn't until actually 3 days later that he called me and told me that there were damages on there. If they had asked him if it was okay, and all of a sudden he's coming back to me 3 days later saying that I made these damages, it would be his responsibility only because the photographer had asked him over and over it was okay if we were to get on the car.
Oh, you asked him. You asked him. That was enough.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
She asked you if she could sit on the hood of your car.
Right.
You're a fool to have said yes. You're a fool.
And later today,
It's obvious to me that when you move out, you move out. You take your clothes, you take your shoes, you take your hats, and you take your doggone cars too.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Carlos Ayala says when car model Monique Howard sat on the hood of his sports car to pose for a photo, she left a dent. Monique says she's not responsible because she had Carlos's permission to sit on the car.
Mr. Ayala,
Yes.
you think that she should be responsible for all these damages
Do
to
I
your
feel
car?
that I should be
That she
responsible?
should be.
Yes, I do.
Well, you're wrong. You want to know why, sir?
Yes, I do.
If she had sat on your car without your permission, she would be totally responsible for the damage to your car.
Right.
You are supposed to be an intelligent man. If somebody asked me if they could sit on the hood of my car, and if I said sure, and if they damaged the hood of my car, whose fault would that be?
Well, considering the, if I make a statement,
Yeah.
there's two models that sat on the car. First of all, the other model did not dent the car, which
Yeah,
was
maybe she was thinner.
which was what she asked me
Just
for.
a second. Maybe she was thinner.
Yeah, actually, she was very much thinner.
Well, then, sir.
Right, but
look,
I'm not-
you use your eyes.
Right.
You look at one model who's thinner. If my 2-month-old grandchild was on the hood of my car, and if my 9-year-old grandson Casey sat on the hood of my car and I said it was okay, and if Casey damages the hood of my car, that's my fault because he's 9 years old and weighs more than a 2-month-old baby. So if you look at these two women and she's a little heftier, and you tell her it's okay to sit on the hood of your car because you wanted your car in some sort of a magazine, why should she pay for it?
That's an incorrect statement there. I didn't ask her to take the shot for my purpose.
Doesn't make any difference.
Second-
She asked you if she could sit on the hood of your car.
Right. Well,
You're a fool to have said yes. You're a fool.
Well, considering that I'm not a weight trainer and I'm not an expert in that field, I wouldn't be able to make a professional...
I want to tell you something. I'm not a weight trainer, and I'm not an
Exactly.
expert in that
Well,
field,
then
and
you
I
have-
wouldn't let anybody sit on my car. You think that if this guy said to me, Judge, I want to take a picture on the hood of your car.
Right.
Could I take a picture on the hood of your car? And he sat on the hood of my car, and the hood went to the pavement. that I would say, it's his fault? No, sir. It's my fault, because I was the idiot.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying to you? This lady, looking exactly like she did, said, I want to sit on the hood of your brand new, expensive, rimmed car from... And then she sat on your car, and according to you, she dented it, and you think that that's her fault.
Not entirely.
Dismissed.
Parties are excused. Step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
And now the next case.
Parties on Jackson versus Mitchell. Step forward.
31-year-old student Adam Jackson.
Jackson versus Mitchell. Step forward.
31-year-old student Adam Jackson is suing his former roommate Lorraine Mitchell because she refuses to return his 1985 El Camino.
All right, I don't think this is very complicated. Mr. Jackson, you and Miss Mitchell were friends, and for a while you lived in her house.
Yes,
You lived in her house along with other property, an old car,
correct.
and then you moved out of her house.
Yes.
And you left your...
Vehicle on a property.
What kind of car was it?
It's an 85 Chevy El Camino
And where on the property did you leave the car?
in her backyard.
Were there any other cars in the backyard?
No,
Just yours.
just mine.
And how long did you leave it there?
I would say from April 97 through November, and it's still there, November this year.
And you want your car back?
Yes.
And you say...
And I say, Mr. Jackson, you're more than welcome to have your car back, but I want to be paid $18.50 for storage per day.
Why?
I checked with several storage companies because if he had had his automobile parked in a garage towing service, he would have paid $18.50. And on top
Why
of
did
that,
you let him leave the car there to begin with?
why did I let him leave the car?
Yeah.
Because he didn't have any other place to take it. Judge, I called Mr. Jackson on several occasions, over and over and over, repeatedly over, asking him, please come and pick up your car. I asked him over 5 or 6 times. I have the dates written down, and he will testify to that, I'm sure.
But Miss Mitchell, you had no agreement with him that he was going to pay you to store the car. He didn't do the right thing and get the car out of there fast enough. Why?
Well, at the time I was going to school, I tried. I tried when I told her I was going to come by to pick up the car. So when I finally sold my car, I told her I was going to come by to pick up the car. So when I finally sold my car, I had the guy who I sold the car to go by her house to pick it up, and that's when I found out that I was going to have a hard time picking up the car.
Yeah, and when was that? When did you sell your car?
November 7th.
Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden somebody showed up at your property to look at the car? Is that what happened?
Well, first of all, a young lady called me over the phone, and she says, "Hello, I'm Stella. I'm going to be coming over to look at Adam's car." I'm like, huh? Okay. And then the next thing I know, at 8:30 at night, there's a gentleman knocking at my door. I mean, and it's pitch black dark where I live at. And I'm saying, who is this at my door? I'm recovering from a nervous breakdown. He knows I'm ill. Judge Judy, he hasn't even called me to give me the decency to say, Lorraine, someone is going to come over and be looking at the car.
How old are you?
31.
Miss Mitchell, you said it.
Here.
How old are you?
31.
Miss Mitchell, you said it.
Here.
How old are you?
31.
Miss Mitchell, you said it. He's an irresponsible child.
That's right.
No question about that.
And this is what this is all about. To teach a irresponsible child on somebody's property for 6 months and come back and all of a sudden it's yours. You have on somebody's property for 6 months and come back and all of a sudden it's yours. You have interrupted my business, Adam. You know I have my pallet business back there. I haven't.
Don't talk to him, talk to me.
Judge, I have a pallet business there in the back where I store expensive pallets are back there. We can't put the fence back in place because once I put the fence in, he has to tear the fence down to get his car out. How many times do I have to call him? Adam, come get your car. Adam, come get your car. Adam, come get your car. I don't feel I have to call him that many times.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You rip and run to Vegas every other weekend with these young flukes.
Will continue in a moment.
The calendar in the matter of Mohammed versus Nava. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ma'am, have a seat.
Oh, Bert, it always worries me when I see evidence in a plastic bag.
Me too, Judge.
Mr. Mohammed, you are suing the defendant. Would you stand up straight, please, as a court? For $750 because you say she stole your car and vandalized it. Is that right?
That's right.
You and the defendant went to a club together, correct? Dance club. You were with a male friend, and she had 2 other female friends with her. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. It was a Mexican nightclub, so.
I don't see how that's particularly relevant, madam. Whether it was a Mexican nightclub or what kind of a nightclub
What would he
it
be
was.
doing at a Mexican nightclub? You know?
We're talking about his car, not about what kind of club it was.
Okay.
Just be quiet and pay attention. So you're inside the club and you're dancing, and I assume doing what you do at a club, and it came time for you to leave. According to your complaint, you got into your car. You were in the passenger seat, front passenger seat. Is that right?
Yes.
Your male friend and your 2 female friends were in the back seat.
Yes, that's correct.
Now, you acknowledge that you took his car.
I didn't take it. The police report doesn't say I took it, my friend took it.
That's what you say. You say your friend took the car and you left it at your brother's house. We'll get to that in a moment. Now, according to your complaint, sir, you got out of the car.
Yes.
Tell me why.
When I was leaving the club, there was a girl, excuse me, there was a girl that I spoke to earlier at the club. She flagged me down to talk to me. I parked my car, left the car running, went around the car to talk to the girl.
How far away from the car were you at that point?
2 feet. I was right next to my car. I was talking to her. My friend was in the car, so I felt safe since he was on the back seat. He got out of the car to join the conversation.
So he left the girls in the car too, and the 2 of you guys went and talked to this other girl.
We were standing right next to the car talking to the girls, correct?
Was there one girl or more than one girl that you were talking to?
One girl.
So the 2 of you guys were talking to one girl?
I was talking, he was listening.
Okay. And then what happened?
And then as sudden, I saw my car moving, like backing up.
I looked at my car, and then I saw Lily on the driver's seat. I tried to run after her to stop her, like telling her to stop. And the security guards in the club, they also ran after her, but she took off at high speed. I ran to a payphone in the parking lot, and I called 911. I reported the car stolen. The police responded within minutes. They tried to screen the whole area around like the club. They couldn't find the car.
Now, you ultimately, according to your complaints, had to take a taxi cab home for $100.
Actually, 115, and that was about 3 hours later because I had to walk for about 3 or 4 miles to get to the nearest payphone at 3 o'clock in the morning. And I called the cab, and I went
And then
home.
you got the car back. Ultimately, they found the car.
Correct. Actually, she took the keys to the police department, and she told them where the car is.
Okay. How much later?
I would say about at least 16, 17 hours later, I was able to locate my car.
Now, describe the car when you got it back, sir.
The car was very dirty. There was vomiting on the door, on the inside, on the interior and the exterior, on the carpet, on the leather. There was so much trash, like fast food trash from Jack in the Box. The property inside the car was badly vandalized.
What property?
I had a radar detector.
You had what?
A radar detector.
Radar detector.
That I paid $380 for it. This is the mounting bracket, and this is the wire connection, and that's all what's left from that device. My Ray-Ban sunglasses were flattened. Somebody has been sitting on them, so they're not usable. And as you can see, that the whole frame is twisted.
What's in the bag?
In the bag, actually, this is my belongings were left like this. If you look at them, some of them are business documents. Some of them are checkbooks that have been taken out of their cover. My credit cards were like.
Well, were these in a suitcase or an attaché case or just in the glove compartment?
I had them. Just on the floor. I had them found the car. Everything was trash, and the bags were empty, and the credit cards were all over. Until this point, I don't know if there is any of the credit cards missing or the IDs that I have, because it's just a big mess for me to go through it in such a short period of time.
All right.
If you want me to itemize the parts that were damaged or missing.
In a minute.
Okay.
Now let's hear your story. Look.
Okay.
Now let's hear your story. Look at me.
Okay.
Because I read your answer.
Okay. He picked us up and we went out. There was no intention, like, you know, we didn't go out as a date. We went as friends.
He called you or you called him?
He paged me, and I called him back.
So you called him?
Yeah. And he asked me, what are you going to do tonight? I said, I'm going to go out. And then he says, well, why? Because we were going to go out before, but I was like, I didn't want to go out with him. And he came and he picked us up.
You and two friends?
Me and my friend here. My other friend, she moved already. They picked us up. They weren't even dressed to go to a club at all. I mean, he was wearing like jeans and some shoes with no socks and like almost a t-shirt. It was like a t-shirt. And we went out. He didn't do anything. All he did was sit down the whole night. We were on our own.
Miss Nava.
Yes.
He may not have been dressed to go out to a club. I think you are not in the position to even refer to that, since in my judgment, you are not dressed appropriately for court.
Well,
do you understand?
I'm coming from work.
I don't care whether you're coming from work. Did you ever hear from work? Listen to me, Miss Nava.
You know.
Did you ever hear the word sweater?
I don't have a sweater. Right. It's hot outside.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
The way he was dressed is awful. Awful. No class at all. To drive a nice car like he does, he has no class to dress.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nikki Mohammed and Lily Nava met at a club. Nikki says Lily stole his car and trashed it. Lily says her friend was being attacked and needed the car to get away.
And then what happened?
Him and his friends were out somewhere, and me and my friends were just our way. So it was time to leave, and we were leaving. Okay, I had went inside to go to the restroom. My friend was in the car, and my other friend was in the car. When I come back, my friend here, and it's sitting down, she was kind of drunk, and she was crying, saying that he was going up her skirt. Because she was out the sunroof. They were parked, and she was standing out the sunroof. That he was going up her skirt. And I was like, why are you doing that? And then he started yelling at her. I was like, why are you yelling at her? And he was like, hold on. And that's when we reversed, and he parked. So after that, my friend Sandra, she didn't drink at all. She was mad because of what he was doing to her. And she's here to explain it to you.
This one, the one who was drunk? The one who you just told me was drunk. She's going to explain it to me? This I got to hear. Right here.
Order.
Well, I was just like on the sunroof. I was outside saying bye to my friends.
You were on the sunroof?
Yes.
You
I was
mean you were
saying-
sticking your head out of the sunroof?
Yeah, he was going up my dress. He lifted my dress up.
So you didn't know who it was?
No, I just saw a guy, because I saw his face and I just saw like a beard on his face.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that's it. And that's all. And I got down and I sat down and I was crying.
To the point where you don't remember what's happening to you, madam.
No, I remember what happened to me. I know what he did.
She wasn't passed out.
Did you put your hands on her?
Your Honor, they were all wearing pants. None was wearing dress. So
I was
that's-
wearing a dress.
I was wearing a dress.
And to answer your question, no, I did not.
Well, you were in the sun. Listen to me.
Yes.
Carefully. See, because I'm reading your answer here. Common sense suggests to me that the story that you're telling me is a lot of baloney. Let me tell you why. What I'm hearing is that he got out of the car to talk to another girl, which ticked you off.
No.
Just pay careful attention, because she's sitting in the back seat of the car. She's sitting in the back seat of the car. He was driving the car. How do you get him?
The car
We
was stopped.
were
The
parked
car
in
was
front of the
parked.
club.
Doesn't make any difference.
Yeah,
Park
the
is
car
different.
was parked. It does make a difference.
Hey, listen carefully, ladies. So what you're telling me is, let me see her seat. He came back in the passenger seat where you were, because you were in the front passenger seat. That's what you just
She
told
was
me.
in the middle. The sunroof,
I was in the back.
The sunroof is right
I
in
was
the middle of the car. And she got up, and then he got back in the car.
See, I was
when I
just
was
up.
gone.
I just got up. I was waving bye
In
to
the
my
middle,
friends.
it's in the middle. The sunroof is in the middle of the car.
Let me ask you this question, Miss Nava.
Nava.
You had two friends with you. One's drunk, right? And you just came back from the bathroom. And you're at a club where there are all kinds of security guards, right? Why didn't you take your drunk friend and your other friend and security guards, right? Why didn't you take your drunk friend and your other friend and get out of the car and go into the club and say, we're having some problems with the people who brought us?
Because he was yelling at us, telling us to get in the car. He was like, get in the car, get in the car. I'm like, calm down, what's your problem? He's like, get in the car, we're gonna leave already.
So what you're telling me is, listen to me, so what you're telling me is, instead of, you were frightened of him. So instead
I'm not frightened of him.
So what did you get into the car?
I wasn't frightened, she was frightened. I just wanted to go home, that's all.
So why didn't you go? Who do you live with?
My dad and my brother.
So why didn't you go into the club and call your dad and call your brother? Let me tell you what you said here in your answer. Quiet! Let me tell you why. I read your answer and it all doesn't sound very kosher to me. You know what kosher means? They don't serve kosher food in a Mexican club. All right. You say, Sandra will appear with me in court.
She left already.
Just a second. So she's not here. Sandra,
Yeah.
the one who you blamed for actually driving
I
the
didn't
car
blame
away.
her. She was driving.
No, that's what you say. I just rode
But the
along with
police
Sandra.
said-
Hey,
We didn't blame her.
Are
She
you?
said it.
Are you?
We didn't blame
Try
her.
not to talk over me. Listen, madam, you don't know what was happening. You were drunk and probably vomited all over the car.
No.
All right?
That's not even true.
So, listen to me. Try to listen, ladies. You say that you did this because you were afraid for your own safety and your friend's safety, and that's why you took the car.
I didn't do anything. My friend drove the car. I didn't drive nothing. She got in the car and we left. She said
we were just in the car and she just took off.
The police called at my parents' house, this is what you wrote, and I told them exactly where they could find the car, and they picked up the keys from me with no problem or questions, and they recovered the car.
Because they asked for me at my house, and they were over my house. We came back in the morning to my dad's house, and the police called me.
You came back in the morning?
Yeah.
Well, where were you all night?
At my brother's house.
Why?
Why? Because that was the nearest place we could get there. We just got there and we stood there. I didn't want to go home with the stolen car to my dad, so I went to my brother's.
Yes. Love it when a game plan comes together.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She's older than she could drink all she wants. That's how I feel.
I wasn't driving, so it's all right.
Oh, please. They tell me Costa Rica is a very good place to live in retirement.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Nikki Mohammed is suing acquaintance Lily Nava for taking his Lexus and vandalizing it. Lily says she only borrowed the car and did no damage.
Let me see your damages, sir. You have...
I have $115 for taxi.
Okay.
I had $46.90.
Just a second, Bert. Turn on the buttons, because, you know, Mother doesn't know how to do buttons.
That's all good.
Mother knows how to do truth, but not buttons. Go.
$115 for a taxi cab.
You're a big tipper. Yeah, go ahead.
No, actually, it's about 35 miles.
It was
distance.
$100 here that you wrote here in the complaint, sir. When you put it on the back here, you said $115. So I assumed that it was $100. You gave him a $15 tip. Don't lie to me. You want me to show you? You want me to show you your complaint?
Actually, it was miswritten. But anyway, it's $115 for taxi cab. It's $46.90 for rental car. It's $35 for the key emblem.
When did you rent a car?
The next day.
Why?
At 9:30, because I had no car. I had to go about my business.
Why didn't you tell your girlfriend to take you?
Madam. Madam.
When I received the keys back.
Ay, ay, ay. This is our future. Go ahead. This is our future.
When I received,
come on, come.
When I received
What
the
else?
keys, when I received the keys back, they were missing this emblem, $35 worth of emblem. The car to clean the car, to clean
To clean it?
the
Oh, to
vomit.
clean it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
And
want to clean out the
$16 for that's worth $380. Ray-Ban glasses that are flattened for $125.
Get the Ray-Ban glasses.
$165.
165?
$165 for detailing.
For the what?
Detailing.
What's detailing?
Detailing the car, to clean the car, to clean
To clean it.
the
Oh, to
vomit.
clean it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't
And
want to clean out the car.
$16 for jumper cables that were missing from the trunk.
Jumper cables.
I don't think that they took your jumper cable, sir. Hey, Bert, are
We
these
didn't
nice
take
Ray-Bans?
anything from his car. We left everything there.
Quiet. You trashed his car. There isn't a question in my mind that you and your friends trashed his car.
He could have put it all together by now. Look at that bag. It's been like 6 months now.
Mr. Mohammed, I want to tell you something. Bird, you like these?
It was
Still has it in the bag.
She may buy them.
125 for the Ray-Bans?
Yeah. 125 for the Ray-Bans. What else?
That's it. That's
how much we got?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
I got
7 items.
$682.90.
$682.90.
No. That is not correct.
That's what's got.
380.
Bird never makes a mistake with the calculator,
Well,
sir.
$115.
I'm not giving you
Okay.
credit for the emblem, sir,
What?
on your keys. Go ahead.
46.
What else?
There are 7 items. If you add them up right,
These are the items, Bird. $165 for detailing, $125 for the Ray-Bans, $380 for the radar detector, $47 for the rental car, and $115 for a taxi cab.
$832?
Okay. Now, Mr. Mohammed, you have to exercise good judgment, sir.
Yeah, you're too
You are-
old for this.
How old are you?
I'm 18. He's 30, what, 5?
Madam, nobody dragged you in the car. Nobody told you that you had to go
He
with
didn't
him.
have to lie
Nobody
about
said.
his age.
Nobody said.
He lied about everything. He
lied
lied
about his
name,
age.
about his age, where he lived, everything. Everything he told me was a lie.
Good. So you stole his car. Stupid.
We didn't steal
What?
it, though.
Just a second. Let me explain something to you. This is dangerous business. Dangerous business. You acted like an idiot that night. You got one friend who's drunk. I don't know where the other one is. I don't know whether she had been drinking or not. You're right.
It's all right, though.
She doesn't drink. She's old enough to drink. The other girl's not old enough to drink. She's old enough she could drink all she wants. That's how I feel.
wasn't driving, so it's all right.
Oh, please. Costa Rica. They tell me Costa Rica is a very good place to live in retirement.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Mr. Mohammed, be smart, right? Don't fool around with babies. These are babies. They're not fully cooked yet. The only thing that they are is stupid, because they shouldn't have been in your car. And they certainly, if they felt that they were threatened, which I doubt. See, because if I really felt that they were threatened by you or your friend, I would have some compassion for them. But it seems to me, if you feel threatened in a situation and you are in a place where they shouldn't have been in your car, and they certainly, if they felt that they were threatened inside to a phone booth where there were a lot of people, and you make a phone call to your father, your brother, whatever
He
else.
said it himself, the phone's not till 3 blocks away.
That's not true. In the parking lot.
Didn't you just say that?
No.
Yeah. And you're lying.
No.
Again.
It's right there in the police report.
Always lying. Always.
There is a phone in the club.
But he said he had to walk.
There is a phone.
He said he had to walk.
He said
he could have gone to the phone in the club too.
Madam, he said he chased your car.
Where? To the end of the parking lot?
God, get her out of here. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $832.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right.
Judge Judy can
223 on the calendar in the matter of Hutnick versus Reese. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies.
Ladies, quite frankly, I was appalled when I read your papers. To think that two women in front of their children would engage in this kind of conduct is absolutely unbelievable to me. Ms. Hutnick, according to your complaint, you were assaulted by the defendant in McDonald's.
Yes, I was.
She says that you assaulted her. This was all done in front of your children.
Yes, it was. Birthday party.
So you want to tell me your version of the events, please?
I had dropped my daughter off, Melissa, at a birthday party and went back to pick her up about 45 minutes later. And upon as I was walking in, I noticed this person next to me.
The defendant?
Yes, Connie Reese. She was hovering over top of my daughter, who was on the bottom of a playland. It was a playland area inside the McDonald's. And my daughter was sitting on the bottom of the slide, and she was crying. And
so there were slides and tubes. I've seen those things where the kids go in and play. They take off their shoes, and they go inside and they play.
Yes.
And eat at the same time.
Right, run and eat. And I walked up to the slide, and I asked Connie Reese if there was a problem, whom she was not part of the birthday party. I did not know who she was at the time. And she said, well, your daughter and her friends are up there picking on my daughter and won't let her down. And I looked at my daughter, and she was very upset. She was crying. She was hysterical. I said, Melissa, is this true? And she said, no, Mom. She said, we were all up there playing together. I accidentally stepped on the girl's toe. She said, I told her I was sorry. Mom, honest, I did. I said, well, you know, if you did, you'd done the right thing. I said, come on, we'll come over here and sit down. I took her by the arm. I guided her to the table where they were. Connie Reese continued to follow me to the table, and she came up to me and she said, is that all you're going to do? And I said, well, you know, she did say it was an accident. She said she was sorry. She'd done the right thing. I said, you know, I don't know what else you expect me to do. And when she said she was sorry, she'd done the right thing, I said, you know, I don't know what else you expect me to do. And with that, I guided my daughter again by the arm, went to another table to sit down. Connie Reese came up to me again, and she put her face, her nose, right up against my nose, touching my nose. Out of the corner of my eyes, I could see Melissa and 3 of her friends underneath the table. They were crying and screaming, and nothing was said at that time, and I thought, you know, I'm not going to fight this lady in front of these girls. So I walked away a second time. She came up to me, and she starts yelling from behind my back, and she says, you know, it's parents like you today who don't know how to raise their kids that makes these kids the way they are today. I stopped, I turned around, I said, you know, I'm sorry. I said, I don't know what your problem is. I said, this obviously is not affecting your daughter. She is up there playing. My daughter's down here crying. You know, and with that, I walked away. I had my back to her. She grabbed me by the back of my hair, turned my head completely around, my body still facing forward, and punched me. She knocked me out. When I had come to...
Punched you in the face?
She punched me in the face. When I had come to, she had dragged me 20, 25 feet across the playland. With my head, if I may show you, she had my head in between her legs like a scissor lock, pounding on the back of my head. And I said, you know, what is your problem? Get off me. I said, you know I am pregnant. And at that time, one of the ladies at the birthday party picked her up and just got her off of me. And with that, she got her coat, she grabbed her daughters, and ran out the door. And somebody had yelled, did you get her license number? Did you get her license number? I ran out and got her license number, came in, and I continued to, I called the police. They came, they issued a warrant out for her arrest. She turned herself in. They did put her on probation for a year. But in the meantime, the next day, I didn't go to the doctor's that night. The next morning, I went to get out of bed. I could not raise my head up. I went to the doctor's. I did have a concussion. They did an MRI, CAT scan.
Do you have your medical bills, which is part of what you're suing for?
Yes, I do. And there's also a letter from my doctor. About a week and a half later, I did miscarry.
Okay, I'm ready to hear your version of the events.
Well, I went into McDonald's with my daughters, and I was there for about 15 minutes, and I told them to go up to the slide and play while I went to go get the food. And they went to go up to the slide because the food was too hot, and I told them to go on and go up the slide. And my oldest daughter, she's too tall to go in there. She wasn't playing in there. The youngest one, she went to go in there. And we heard like a blood-curdling scream. And I told my oldest daughter to go up there and see what's going on. And she went up there, and she said they wouldn't let her down the slide. They penned her in. They both had, one was on one side, one was on the other, and they wouldn't let her down. And so my daughter proceeded to go down the tubes and not go down the slide, go back around the way she came.
Okay, get to the bottom of the slide. Now that they're at the bottom of the slide.
Okay, they're at the bottom of the slide. Well, I yelled up there, and I was going, let her down, because they wouldn't still let her down. And her daughter had came down, and I said, I asked you to come down. Why didn't you come down when she was screaming that loud? And she puts her hand on like this. She was not sitting on the slide. She was standing up talking to me like this. I wasn't hemming her in. She could have got down any way she wanted to get down, just like that. And then she came in, and with her, biker stuff on, she was like coming towards me like she was going to kill me. And she didn't get a chance to even hear what I had to say. I was going to tell her what was happening. Don't tell me what you were going to tell her. Just tell me what happened. She didn't come to talk to me first. She talked to her daughter. And I said that I tried to get your daughter to come down the slide, and she wouldn't come down the slide. And she got smart with me, and she turned around and she smacked me. Oh, and when she smacked me, she scratched me. She had these nails that were like real long, curly nails. And she had these nails that were like real long, curly nails. And she smacked me. She smacked my face and dug into my face, and I turned around about 3 steps where there was people. Where the slide is, there's no people, so nobody can see you. You got to go like
So you're saying she assaulted you?
Right. She smacked me first.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I didn't talk to no lawyer or nothing. I didn't have nobody.
You swore that you spoke to a lawyer from the hospital. Is this a lie?
No.
Is this a lie?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Marty Hutnick is suing Connie Reese for putting her in a headlock and punching her face. She wants her medical bills paid.
So you're saying she assaulted you?
Right. She smacked me first.
And then what did you do?
I turned around, I walked up to her, and I said, no wonder why mothers are the way they are. The way the kids are today is because mothers like you. And I smacked her back in the face because she smacked me. And then I proceeded to walk away, and she grabbed me by my ponytail and scratched the back of my neck. And she's the one that was dragging me. I didn't have her in no headlock or anything like that. She had me by my hair, and she was dragging me. And we were both, I told her to let go, and we both let go, and she came back right after me I told her to let go. She come right back after me. And I told her friend, when her friend came charging after me, because it was a birthday party, and she had 2 friends that were there too. And they come charging after me and smacked me against the garbage can, which made my younger daughter fall, and I sat on her head, and she was sitting down there, and
this is after the other people were taking you off her.
Right.
Now,
No, they were taking the girls off of me. A boy came in, like 16 years old, and got all 3 of the girls off of me because she was screaming down below because she was crunched between the garbage can.
So these are the questions that I have for you, because I read your answer. So these are 2 diametrically opposed stories about what happened.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
First of all, you swore to the truth of what's in this answer.
Right.
So it is true that you pled, in effect, guilty to criminal charges and were placed on probation, correct?
No, it's not correct. I was in the hospital for 30 days. The warrant after I got out of the hospital because I didn't appear to be able to have my side. I went right into the hospital that day.
Miss Reese, let me see.
Into the hospital that day.
Miss Reese, let me see that. First, let me see the hospital record.
I don't have no papers. My attorney's out of town, and I try to get him. My attorney is out of town. He couldn't give me the papers.
Miss Reese, you don't need papers from your attorney to prove to the court that you were in a hospital for a month as a result of this incident. Okay?
Well,
I'm going to read you some. You have what?
I got pills to show that I was in there. I'm still taking them.
Pills don't tell me when you went to the hospital and what you were doing in the hospital for a month. Because I'm going to read what you wrote. First, you say you were admitted to the hospital and stayed there for a month.
That's right.
And then you say that you spoke to your lawyer from the hospital. That's what you said here. But then you say that the reason that you didn't appear in court was because you were in the hospital and nobody told you about it. Because you were served with papers while you were in the hospital. That doesn't ring true to my common sense. Because if you had already spoken to a lawyer when you were in the hospital, you would have known about a summons or a warrant being issued for your arrest. So you already had a lawyer, according to you, when you were in the hospital. Is that right? That's what you swore to here.
Not in the hospital. At 2 weeks after I got out of the hospital, I was.
No, that's not what you wrote here. That's not what you.
I want to tell you, I got out of the hospital 2 weeks later, and
so
then
it's just a second. So you weren't in the hospital for a month. You were in the hospital for 2 weeks.
2 weeks, and then I was in therapy for 2 weeks.
So now, right now, you have 2 mistakes here in your sworn answer. You weren't in the hospital for a month. You were in the hospital for 2 weeks. And you spoke to the lawyer,
30 days.
What?
It's still 30 days I was in the hospital. I was in there admitted from morning till almost night every day for seizures. I'm
Miss
serious.
Reese, you were in the hospital now, according to you, for 2 weeks.
Right.
And according to you, you didn't speak to the lawyer from the hospital, even though that's what you wrote here. Because then you write.
Because I didn't have nobody. I didn't talk to no lawyer or nothing. I didn't have nobody.
You swore that you spoke to a lawyer from the hospital. Is this a lie?
Hospital.
Is this a lie?
It must have been a mistake. It's not a lie.
It was a big mistake, but it's very clear. You didn't say I spoke with a lawyer. You said I spoke with a lawyer from the hospital. Then you say, when you were released, you were arrested because you hadn't appeared in court. But that troubled me, because if you had a lawyer that you spoke to in the hospital, then you would have known that you had to appear in court. And then you write that you did go to court. I ended up with a lawyer who told me to plead no contest.
That's right.
And I had no idea what it meant, but I thought I could trust my lawyer.
Well, he wasn't a good lawyer. He ended up being barred from the association. That's why I went to a different attorney.
You know, you have a lot of stories. You have a lot of good answers for everything that I'm saying to you.
But I'm telling you.
But then you went to court, and you appeared before a judge. And the judge explained to you what your rights were, correct?
That's correct.
Told you that you had a right to a trial, correct?
Correct.
And you said that you didn't want a trial.
No, I did not say I didn't want a trial. He told me just to plead no contest in
The
that
judge
way.
never told you to plead no contest.
No, he didn't tell me. My lawyer told me.
Try to remember what the judge said to you. The judge
He
said to you...
asked me if I understood everything.
And what did you say?
And I told him no.
And you told the judge no, and the judge said, well, that's okay, then I'm going to take your plea anyway. That's what you're telling me a judge said?
No, he explained to me.
Okay. And he explained to you that whatever, either no contest or pleading guilty, it's the same as a guilty plea, and you would be found guilty of these charges. Didn't the judge explain that to you?
Yes, he did.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You've got more stories than Carter has pills today for what you wrote in your answer. I didn't write that. I didn't mean that. I was in a hospital for a month. I have no proof.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Marty Hutnick says Connie Reese assaulted her after their daughters got into a fight at a birthday party.
After the judge explained that to you, you pled to these charges of assault. Isn't that right?
Because that's what my lawyer told me to say.
No.
He did.
No.
Because that's what my lawyer told me to say.
No.
He did.
No.
I don't know nothing about the law. He's the one that told me that.
You knew enough when you were in the hospital, according to the statement, to call a lawyer. Miss Reese.
No, I didn't talk to a lawyer until 2 weeks later, until I got out of the hospital.
It's your statement. I mean, this is so you have no proof to show me today that you were in the hospital, is that right?
I have no proof. I have proof that Olivia was in the hospital, but I don't have no proof that I was in the hospital. But
Olivia was in the hospital for what? That's your daughter?
Because I sat on her neck and put her neck into her all the way down, crunched her arms.
That doesn't tell me about you sat on her neck, but that doesn't tell me about what happened between the two of you. You pled guilty right now. There is a guilty plea. That is guilt beyond between the two of you. You pled guilty right now. There is a guilty plea. That is guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. You have been found guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of assaulting the plaintiff by your own admission. And until that is overturned, until you go back into court, if you plan to, and I don't even know if you can because you were placed on probation, is that right?
I'm off of it, yeah.
You were placed on probation. Then there is no way that you can go back and have your plea expunged. So in 12 months, you didn't go back to court and ask to vacate your plea. Is that right?
Yes, I did.
You did?
Yes.
And what did the judge say to you when you went back to court?
He told me to go to civil court.
So the judge refused to allow you to take back your plea. Is that right? The judge refused to allow you...
I wasn't there. My lawyer went there by himself.
Miss Reese, you cannot go back to court and ask to vacate your plea unless you're there. You cannot go back to court and ask to vacate your plea unless you're there. And in that way, you have to explain to the judge that you didn't understand what was going on, you were given bad advice, all those other things. You're coming to me today, and I'll tell you what the posture is of your side of this story. Okay. You pled guilty beyond a reasonable doubt to assault. You were sentenced, and in fact, you fulfilled your sentence because you served 12 months on probation.
My new lawyer is trying to get me off of all that, to remove it.
Your lawyer may try to get you all off of it. Right now, that is the posture in which you stand here today. Guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of this assault by your own admission. So I have no intention of entertaining your countersuit. All I can do is tell you this. Ms. Hutnick, your lawsuit is requesting your medical bills and a certain amount for pain and suffering in the amount of $1,750. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
When I came out here before, I said to you both that I know what happens sometimes when kids get caught up in these things at playlands, etc. They should never escalate to a physical fight in front of children. That's outrageous.
I went right to the police station right after it happened.
Miss Reese, aren't you hearing what I'm saying to you?
Yes.
You pled guilty beyond a reasonable doubt.
I wasn't in the right state of mind.
Well, I don't know whether you were in the right state of mind today, but right now,
today I am.
Right now, you pled guilty beyond a reasonable doubt. before a judge who explained all of your rights to you. You've got more stories than
I
Carter
don't
has
have-
pills today for what you wrote in your answer. I didn't write that. I didn't mean that. I was in a hospital for a month. I have no proof. I was in the
I
hospital
do
for 2
have
weeks. I
proof.
did talk to a lawyer in the hospital. I didn't talk to a lawyer in the hospital. Judgment in the
I
hospital
do
for 2
have
weeks. I
proof.
did talk to a lawyer in the hospital. I didn't talk to a lawyer in the hospital. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,750. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy.
Your Honor, this is case number 238 on the calendar in the matter of Brazos versus Ventura. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Mr. Brazos, according to these papers, you claim that the defendant assaulted you by hitting you with a skateboard. You were severely injured.
Mm-hmm.
You want him to pay for your medical and dental bills, as well as pain and suffering.
Yes.
Right?
Right.
Tell me when this happened.
Friday the 13th, 1996.
Okay. Tell me what happened.
Okay. First we were having a party at my house, and he was there.
Who's he?
Jimmy's brother, I believe. That's his brother.
This young man here.
Yes.
Okay.
He was there, and he came and peed on our lawn. Some of the party goers at the party didn't like it, so they confronted him and said, "Why'd you do that?" And I guess there's some push came to shove, and they started fighting, and they chased him off the lawn. And
The
then,
brother.
Yeah. And then he came back shortly later, about 10 minutes later, with Jimmy and about 20 people, and they're all wearing white tank tops and had tattoos and shaved heads. Some were holding pipes and bats. And there was about 10 people left at the house having the party with me. And then all of a sudden, him and his brother rushed the house. Jimmy was one of them. Jimmy grabbed a skateboard, hit me in the head, and I fell to the ground. And he walked away, and I walked to the next house and went and got treatment for my mouth.
Was he arrested?
No, he wasn't.
Well, he was at one point arrested because there's a criminal trial going on.
Yeah,
Is that right?
Later on, I think about 4 or 5 days later, he was arrested.
Did he come to be arrested? Did you identify him?
Yes. I went down to the police station and picked his picture out and a list of people.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay. One night, on Friday the 13th, okay, he had a party, he had 2 kegs and 4 bands. My brother was supposed to go out to the party because he was invited by my uncle. And they jumped my brother. A bunch of people jumped him. I wasn't there.
Step up here. You're a gunner?
Yes, sir.
Did you use his lawn as a bathroom? Come on, let's
All
go.
right. All right, well, I was invited to his birthday party by my uncle. I went out there, my friend took a pee on his lawn, and then they got around him, huddled around him. I went over there to try to settle it. A guy got in my face, and I was about this close to my face. I pushed him, and then I struck with a bat in the head and the side. And then I was basically gang rushed down the street, and that's where I went and caught my breath.
You caught your breath. And when did you call your brother?
I didn't call him.
I never seen him at all that night. He left. Supposedly he got jumped. I was walking through the apartments, and this is how I found about it. My uncle told me that Gunner might have gotten jumped. So I saw Tim, I guess, whatever his name is, with a group of people, like about 40 guys, sit in front of his house laughing on how they beat some guy up. I took off. I was with 2 girls that I was with all night, and I went to their house, and I sat there, and I saw my mom, Elaine. She drove by she was going down the street, and I saw, I'm like, what is she doing out here, 3 o'clock in the morning? But anyways, I came up to the scene, and I saw my mom trying to break up a fight, and some guy cold clocked my mom, like leveled her out. She got a broken nose. She got, fat lip, and I ran in there, and I socked the guy that hit my mom.
It wasn't this young man.
No, it wasn't even him.
Yeah.
But that was the only thing that I came into this fight. I hit the guy that hit my mom.
I'm looking at this. You say in your answer, sir, that there was another fight 4 days later.
Yeah, there was.
When he got beat up, and he wants me to pay because the apartments belong to my grandmother and Tim smells money. So according to you, the injuries that he sustained happened 4 days later. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Can I see your medical reports, please?
Sure.
The statement that you make here is that he got beat up 4 days later.
Yeah, he got beat up 4 days later.
He got beat up 4 days later, and he wants you to pay for it. It's not true, because the first medical report of injury was the morning of this incident. This incident happened late at night on the 13th.
Yes.
And his first report of injuries was on the 14th, which means that this stuff that you suggest about his being beaten up 4 days later and he just wants you to pay for it because he feels as if your family has money, I want you to put that out of your mind. His injuries were sustained on the 13th. Now, you are Mrs. Schwartz?
Yes.
Step up, please. You're their mother?
Yes, I am.
What do you know about this evening?
This boy has falsely identified because this boy wasn't there but 5 minutes. I don't doubt that Tim didn't get hit by somebody, but it wasn't by this young man right
You
here.
don't know that.
I was there the whole time, Your Honor.
No, you weren't.
He was
Yes,
hit?
I was, Your Honor. I was there
Mr.
the
Schwartz,
whole time.
you weren't there the whole time.
Yes, I was there the entire time.
Tim said he got
All
hit.
the way until when the officers told us to go home.
I thought you got hit.
I did get hit.
We sat
And when
and
you
talked
just
to
a
cops
second,
for 4
when you got
hours.
hit, where were you?
I was
On the
right
ground?
in front of their apartment, right where he
Shh.
says he claims he got
Were
hit.
you on the ground?
Pardon?
Were you on the ground? Pardon. But
Yeah, not the entire night.
I didn't
was
say
hit.
on
I was
the entire
knocked
night.
out.
I said down. Were you knocked down?
Yes, I was.
So when you were knocked down, you were on the ground. You didn't see what was going on all around you.
No, but I wasn't down for that long of a
Mr.
time.
Schwartz.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
For one, I didn't hit him, but anyways, if you think about it, can you run 20 feet with a skateboard and have a skateboard truck and only chip 1 tooth? Can you do that? It's quietly impossible.
Would you believe this? You missed the point, sir.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Timothy Brazos claims Jimmy Ventura injured him when a party erupted into a neighborhood brawl.
Mr. Schwartz, what I'm telling you is, you did not see what was going on around you all the time. That doesn't mean that I am yet convinced that this was the person who hit you, sir. And I don't doubt the fact that you got hit. Because in your complaint, you say, because I read it very carefully, my back was turned to him when I got hit.
Well, I meant my side. You know, I was like,
What
I
you
was
meant,
like this.
sir, in your sworn complaint, and what you wrote, then are two different things, because you swore to this. You want to see it?
No, I know what I wrote.
You said, the reason I should win is I did not hit him at all. My back was turned to him when I got hit.
Well, yeah. I mean, my side was turned to him. I'm more like my back. As I got hit, I could see who hit me.
You mean, sir, listen to me. And I'm not saying that it definitely was not this young man. You have just told me that you never saw him before. That night was the first night you saw him. That there was a lot of confusion going on because there are lots of people out there, 40 people from your side, from the other group's side, so there are a lot of people, a lot of commotion. According to your own statement, you had a couple of beers that night. You didn't want to get blotto drunk, but you had a couple of beers that night. So you had something to drink. It was late at night because the party was in the process of winding down. And your back was turned towards the person who hit you. So what you're telling me is, in the split second that you turned around, you saw this young man, and you are able to 100% say to me today, you are absolutely positive that this was the person who assaulted you with the skateboard.
Yes, because after he hit me, I saw who it was. He walked away, and I saw him.
He walked away. You fell to the ground when you were hit?
I fell to my knee and my arm.
You fell to the knees in your arm, and the person who hit you...
He was standing right there waiting for me to get up. I didn't get up for about 3 or 4 seconds.
Oh, you didn't tell me that before? You said they were walking away. Why would they be standing right over you?
To see if I'd get up and probably attack him back. Because he'd probably want to be ready if I would do something like that. But that's not what happened. He was right there after he hit me. He hit me. I got up. As I was getting up, I'm looking at him the whole time. He's standing there, you know, kind of backing away. And then he just goes off in his way, and I run upstairs in the house. My brother saw that happen.
Did you have skateboards in your house?
Yeah, they were on the lawn.
It'd be very easy for him to grab one and hit me. I know for a fact it was him.
I'm not sure.
I'm positive. I'm 100% positive.
Okay,
Well-
he says that I hit him and I took off. Well, if he would have known and he knew what I was wearing, which he doesn't because he said I was wearing a white striped shirt, I was sitting in front of those stairs for 4 hours talking to cops.
And that's not what he was wearing. And if he's
And that's
so
not
positive,
what I was wearing. When he
Your
said
Honor,
to court, in court, he's all, I saw him, he's wearing a white shirt. I was not wearing a white
I
shirt.
never said he was
that
wearing a
night.
white shirt. I said he was wearing a striped shirt.
You said it's in your testimony in the criminal
He was wearing a
case.
striped shirt.
Listen to me.
It says a white
After
striped
this
shirt,
happened,
t-shirt.
What's wrong?
After this happened,
We've
Well,
got
that's
the
what he said.
transcript.
after this whole
Should've brought it.
altercation, were you sitting, you say you were sitting and talking to the police?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I sat
Hey,
there
Mr.
for 4
Schwartz,
hours.
stop it. I'm talking to him. You say you were sitting and talking to the police where?
Right on the stairs. We sat down right when my mom got hit. I showed up right when she got hit. I wasn't even there before when the fight started. I came up when the fight was already going on. I came up and I saw my mom get hit, and I hit the guy that hit her. I got maced. We both sat down on the stairs, supposedly where he says he ran up the stairs, whatever. I sat there. We were sitting there, and the fight was still increasing. I was still sitting there. The cops come up. My mom had she had like blood coming from her nose, and she had a fat lip, and so we were sitting there, and she was getting taken care of. The ambulance came up, and we were talking to him, and we sat there for 4 hours.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
It doesn't make sense to me that our own son struck her, sir. Common sense would dictate to me that that did not happen.
In the case involving Mrs. Schwartz and her sons, there was no common sense involved.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Timothy Brazos is suing Jimmy Ventura for injuries suffered during a neighborhood brawl. Jimmy is countersuing for pain and suffering, loss of education, and financial hardship.
Did they ever apprehend the person who hit you?
No, they didn't.
Yeah,
What do you
we
mean?
tried to tell my
We
mom,
tried to tell them who hit me.
and they would not
they
listen
wouldn't
to us
listen.
at all.
That sounds very peculiar to me.
This whole thing is peculiar.
No, just a second. That sounds very peculiar to me. I mean, here you have a woman who's in charge of a building complex, who apparently is injured when the police arrive, and the police will not take your complaint about the person who hit you?
No, all they kept saying is their side, Tim and his roommates kept saying that Jimmy was the one that hit me. And I was trying to convince...
Jimmy was the one that hit you?
Yes.
You mean your son was
Yes.
the one who hit you?
That's what they were, that's what
what
they were
trying to say.
saying.
They try to say,
That's what they were saying the whole night, that Jimmy's the one who hit me, not Tim. He hit me. And the fella that hit me, if he's so sure it was Jimmy,
Just a minute.
then who I'm sure
Did
hit
anybody
me is
suggest
him.
to the police
Because the boy that hit me was that boy's size right there.
No, Mrs. Schwartz, this boy didn't. He didn't hit you. Come on,
The
get
boy
it together.
that hit me was as tall as him.
Good.
But I won't 100% identify him because I didn't see him. It happened too
That's-
quick. But it
that's
was
right.
he was a tall, big boy.
Okay. Did anybody suggest that this woman was assaulted by her own son?
No.
Huh?
No.
It's in the police
Did you?
report.
Let me see
I
the
didn't
police
suggest
report.
it.
I didn't bring it.
it should have been
Well,
all of
because
You're the father.
Yes.
You know anything about this?
Yes.
I'm going to hear you.
I just recently retired from the Los Angeles Police Department, and I had contact that night with my son, and then I contacted Lewis Martin, who's the detective handling the case in Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Office. And as she stated, there were independent wits from the commotion that was going on outside that did, in fact, is in the police report that she was struck by her own son during the melee.
Oh, just a second.
Just to let you know that part.
No, you can't let me know that. I don't know that. I don't know unless I hear a witness who saw it.
Okay.
Do you understand?
Yes. I
Because you understand that.
Yes.
And it doesn't make sense to me that our own son struck her, sir. Common sense would dictate to me that that did not happen.
In the case involving Mrs. Schwartz and her sons, there was no common sense involved.
Oh, I believe that there's common sense and logic involved in this whole thing. I believe that there was a party.
Yes.
I believe that this young man came uninvited. I believe that he brought somebody else with him that was also uninvited to the party. I believe that the other person he invited to the party went outside, either with him or without his assistance, and urinated on the lawn right in front of the house. I believe that there was some altercation.
Yes.
Because there were some guests at the party that were irate at what they saw, because here were uninvited guests using the front lawn of your home as a toilet. Clearly inappropriate.
Yes.
I even believe he probably got roughed up a little bit and went home and got a whole group of people. Probably included in that group was his brother, who came back to the house looking for nothing but trouble. So far, it's as clear as a bell to me. The only thing that's not 100% clear to me, sir, is whether your son could make an appropriate identification.
I can clear that up.
Hmm?
I can clear that up.
Go ahead.
Okay, before this night, I've never seen him before. I would have no reason to pick his face out of a 6-person lineup. I'd never seen him before that night. How would I go into the sheriff's station and pick his face out of a lineup, even if I've never seen him before? And if he's not the one, you know, if he's the one who hit me, I'd pick him out for sure. You know,
Well, how long have you been living in that complex?
at the time, about a month. He never came by before, ever.
Had you seen him before?
Never.
That's not true.
The other brother.
He
I
saw both of my
him.
sons when he was at
No.
my house signing contracts.
We used to do maintenance work
I saw
on
him
apartments.
one day when we came there with one of my roommate's parents. I saw Gunner walk to his room. That's the only person I ever saw.
Didn't
I
see
never
the
saw
other
Jimmy.
brother.
Never.
You have a photograph of the lineup?
No. But the police made me pick it, and they brought it to a civil criminal trial.
Made him pick it.
Explain to me, sir, exactly what was shown to you when you came into the police
Okay,
station.
I went to a police
Just
station.
4 days later, you went into the police station.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
And he showed me a
Who's he?
The police officer.
Martin.
Yes.
Detective Martin. Showed
Yes.
me a list. There were 6 people on this paper, on this photo thing. And he was one of them. And I picked out the guy that I saw hit me. Just like that. I don't know who the other 5 people were.
And you had never seen him before?
Never.
For one, I didn't hit him, but anyways, if you think about it, can you run 20 feet with a skateboard and have a skateboard truck and only chip 1 tooth? Can you do that? It's quietly impossible.
Could you believe this?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You missed the point, sir.
No, that's what
Either they have convinced me by a preponderance of the evidence that you were the one who hit him, or they haven't. And whether his head got cracked open, or whether he chipped 1 tooth, or whether he doesn't have one of his own teeth in his mouth as a result of that is really not the issue. The issue is, did you hit him?
No, I didn't hit
And
him.
quite
It's a lie.
frankly, he has convinced me that you did. All right, what were your unreimbursed medical expenses, sir?
Okay, and that's where my dad was here to, he knows
Okay.
exactly how that went.
Yes,
Out
sir.
of pocket, I lost about $1,600 approximately, and we have an $800 root canal due on the same tooth because it died.
Well, the only question is, what are the damages for pain and suffering? Because your unreimbursed bills, you certainly are entitled to. Because I find that there is sufficient evidence by a preponderance of the evidence so that I am satisfied that based on the fact that you picked him out of a lineup, and the lineup was a 6-person photographic lineup, and I am satisfied that you had not seen him before. I believe you that you had not seen him before. So there would have been no reason for you to pick out this person who just happens to be the brother of the person who had an argument with your partygoers a few hours before. There would have been no reason for you to pick him out. That coupled with the fact that usually when someone is injured, they want the right person arrested. They want the person who caused them pain to suffer, right?
Right.
So you would not like to identify the wrong person. It would have been just as easy for you to identify this person because he had been there. Did not. You identified somebody who you had never seen before, him. So I'm satisfied that by a preponderance of the evidence, you have established that he caused you injury. And I'm giving you what you're suing for, which is $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, how come I was
Out the back door to your right. Excuse me, step out. this
Judge
way.
Judy.
Your Honor, this is case number 369 on the calendar in the matter of Thomason versus Herzog. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Have seats.
Miss Thomason, this defendant, according to you, lived in your home. And when he left, he owed you money for rent, utilities, etc.
That's correct.
Do you have a two-family home, or was he living in your apartment?
I rent a large home, and he was the first roommate that I advertised for after my long-term roommate died of cancer a year ago.
So he lived in a home that you rented?
Correct.
So he had his own room?
Yes.
Own bath?
Yes.
And kitchen privileges, is that right?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. So tell me about the rental agreement.
He answered that I'm the recycler, and we agreed on $600 a month plus 1/4 of the utilities.
Is that correct, sir?
No, it isn't, Your Honor.
Well, let's start. Did you answer an ad?
Yes, I did.
And you went to her home?
That's correct.
And what agreement did you come to?
Basically, as far as the rental agreement concerned, the rent was going to be $450 per month, and I also gave a $250 deposit at that time.
What about the utilities, sir?
The utilities were going to be fairly...
What about the utilities, sir?
The utilities were going to be fairly split.
Fairly split is not an arrangement, sir. Fairly split sounds ridiculous when you're talking between two strangers. Were you supposed to pay half the utilities, 1/4 of the utilities? What were you supposed to pay?
Basically, there was no straight agreement or arrangement on that. It was going to be split between... There was Marilyn and her 2 sons, plus her boyfriend also living there at the time.
What month did you move in?
I moved in the 1st of March.
Of this year?
That's correct.
And how many months did you live there?
March.
Of this year?
That's correct.
And how many months did you live there?
I lived there for 6 months, Your Honor.
And how many months rent did you pay?
I paid 2 months rent, and at that time I had given notice of to vacate the day following.
So you paid for 2 months?
And the utilities, correct.
And you lived there for 6 months?
That's correct.
And you lived there March and April, and then you said you were leaving?
That's correct, Your Honor.
But you didn't leave?
But I did not leave.
And you stayed on for an additional 4 months and paid nothing? Why not?
At the time of notice of vacation, to vacate the premises, she had given me, which I have documented, written notices and a note from her stating that it would be okay for me to stay there as long as I want, for free, under no obligation to pay for rent or utilities.
Let me see the note.
Basically what I have and like to present to you at this time.
Don't tell me basically, just show me the note.
If I can present this to you, Your Honor.
Just the note. Show it to her, Bird, would you please?
That's one of several notes. I had a little trouble communicating with him, so I wrote notes.
I just want to see what it says here. Why did you give her notice that you were leaving, sir?
It was a very uncomfortable situation for me from the very beginning. I just felt it was appropriate for me to leave. It was just an unbearable situation in the house.
Okay. Tell me why it was an unbearable situation.
Basically, the first and foremost reason was the harassment that I've been receiving from her to somehow come into a physical relationship with her.
You mean from the time you moved in?
That's correct.
March and April?
That's correct.
And it was unbearable?
It was
According
somewhat
to you, you just said to
uncomfortable.
me
It was something uncomfortable and unbearable, yes, Your Honor.
So you stayed on, you moved in March, you stayed in April. And after this unbearable situation, you stayed May, June, July, and August for another 4 months.
That's correct, Your Honor.
Why?
Basically, she had, we had spoken and she had agreed that she was going to try to basically stop some of the inappropriate comments that she had made. I also have a note stating to my mother that she had made sexually indiscreet comments and harassing comments.
Like what?
She would say, she'd note to her friends, "This is my little houseboy, Liz here, isn't he cute?" She would tell her friends to come over when I was around. She'd say things like, it'd be great if you wouldn't wear a shirt around the house. You have such a great body. Just a lot of small remarks like that. I mean, there's some photos.
Slowly she turned.
There's some photos here that I have.
Mr. Herzog.
Yes.
If a big guy like you doesn't like the heat, then you get out of the kitchen. Sounds to me, that's what it means. Unbearable. So you leave. Leave. If a situation is unbearable, That's what it means. Unbearable. So you leave. You didn't leave. You sponged.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Your beauty is going to go one day, sir. I know you must think you're a very handsome man and you can get away with murder. But anybody who can twist the truth, like you can, is not good looking in my eyes.
And later today,
I'm not a criminal. This is the first thing I've ever been in trouble for in my life. This has taken up way too much of my time already.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Attorney Marilyn Thomason is suing Bruno Herzog for unpaid rent and utilities. Bruno is countersuing Marilyn for sexual harassment.
Show me the rent receipts for May, June, July, and August. Show me your canceled checks to her in the amount of, let's say, your amount, $450 a month.
Okay, excuse me, Your Honor. Basically, the two things that I have here is I have, in the lawsuit, it states from the plaintiff that she states that there is a written agreement. In fact, she refused to ever provide me with a rental agreement.
Mr. Herzog, what word that I just said didn't you understand? Show me the rent receipts from May, June, July, and August.
That's also part of the situation that I have here is that in the beginning, there was cash paid to her. I had asked for receipts on that on several occasions. That was refused to me. I felt that she said to me this was for...
So is what you're telling me, Mr. Herzog, that you paid her in cash?
That's correct.
And you didn't get a receipt?
That's correct, Your Honor, and I had asked for that.
You are
time
one
and time
lying
again.
sucker. You just told me no more than 5 minutes ago that you didn't pay her anything for those 4 months. And now you say you paid her, but you paid her in cash?
Yes, Your Honor, and I also have a statement from her in a response.
You just told me you didn't pay her for 4 months. And you told me the reason you didn't pay her for 4 months is because she volunteered for you to stay there for free.
That was
What is it? Did you pay her or did you not?
Your Honor, I paid her for the month, March and April rent.
That's not what I asked you, sir. I said, show me the receipts for May, June, July, and August.
I have no receipts for those, Your Honor.
Because you didn't pay her for those months.
That's correct.
Right. So you owe her for those months. Because if something is so unbearable that you can't live there because you don't like the fact that she is making these suggestive statements to you, you're a big boy whose feet aren't planted in cement, you pick yourself up and you leave.
Well, Your Honor, through conversation with her, I felt that this problem would be resolved. She is an attorney, and I felt that she would understand as far as the relationship goes as a roommate, and there was going to be no physical or relationship
So
ever
did
in
it
there.
stop?
The harassment?
Did it stop?
It did stop for some time, Your Honor.
For how much time, sir?
It would be hard to say. I mean, there was comments made left and right, but maybe for the first month after that, it seemed to be, she seemed to work on it.
Mr. Herzog, what do you do for a living, sir?
I am self-employed. I own a business.
What kind of business do you own, sir?
It's a manufacturing business.
What kind of manufacturing?
We manufacture snowboards.
Snowboards. Mr. Herzog, did you ever hear the expression, beauty fades, dumb is forever?
Yes, I have.
Your beauty is going to go one day, sir. I know you must think you're a very handsome man and you can get away with murder, but I'm telling you, I do not find you particularly attractive. Maybe it's because I'm too old. I don't think so. But anybody who can twist the truth, like you can, is not good looking in my eyes. Now, if this lady had a thing for you, I don't know, maybe she's desperate. Who knows? In any event, you can't stand there as a man and tell me that you were so offended by the way your landlord was treating you, you stayed on for 4 months but didn't pay her any rent. You want to say something?
If I may.
About what?
About the sexual harassments that
Who are you?
I am Heidi Britton.
How do you know him?
He is my brother.
Where do you live?
I live in Laguna Beach.
Why didn't he live with you?
Because I'm an opera singer and I travel around the world.
Wonderful. So you must have an apartment that's free a lot.
No.
That's vacant a lot.
No, I have a husband.
Well, if the situation with your brother, madam, was so unbearable in his residence, And you, as his sister, who clearly cares about him, did not say, while it's so unbearable there, living with this lady and her 2 children, come and live with me. You're not much of a sister. Now you tell me whatever you want to tell me.
First day I met Marilyn, she had made comments about what a good-looking body, what, does he have a girlfriend? Is there anything that you can do to help me, I'm interested in basically, and I'd like to have a relationship with him.
So?
I told him no, that he had been seeing someone and that was inappropriate. I thought, he's my brother, I don't know you, I'm not going to divulge information or share information, which if he wanted you to know something, he would tell you something.
So what?
On other occasions, she had said to me, I really want Bruno to stay here. I'd like to be involved with him. I was out in the yard with his cats with Bruno. She said, I'll pay him to stay here. I really like Bruno. He'd be a...
So did you think that that was all very sick?
I thought that was very, very sick.
Very sick.
In fact, I had assisted and started looking for other locations for my brother.
If you thought it was all very sick, why would you allow your brother to stay in a sick situation?
Well,
is he retarded?
No, he's not.
Is your brother retarded?
No, he's not.
Is he dim-witted?
No, he's not.
He owes her money. That's what he does.
Judge Judy is ready to rule, and later today...
You wouldn't know the truth, Mr. Neville, if he came up and bit you in the behind.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Marilyn Thomason wants money owed for rent and utilities from her former roommate, Bruno Herzog. Mr. Herzog says Ms. Thomason harassed and assaulted him.
I'm taking his amount, madam, of $450, right? That's $1,800. And I'm not even tacking on much for utilities, another $50 for the 4 months, bringing your grand total to $2,000. Listen to me. I really have no idea whether she said what you attribute to her. Nothing sounds so lewd and lascivious to me. This is not sexual harassment in the workplace. You didn't work there. She wasn't trying to create a situation to make things unbearable for you so that you couldn't earn a living. You are clearly, at least according to your sister, of sound mind. And you had the ability and the capability to pick yourself up and move if you didn't like what was going on. You don't live there and sponge off somebody. Now, you've got a countersuit for sexual harassment. I assume that you've told me the best statements that you can think of that she said to you during the course of your tenancy that would at least touch my conscience and say, that's terrible, right? And I don't find she sexually harassed you at all, sir. If she liked you and you didn't like her, the chivalrous thing to do would have been to have moved out as quickly as possible. Your counterclaim for sexual harassment is dismissed, and I am awarding the plaintiff $2,000 for your back rent and utilities. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
She had just shot some photos of me without my consent when I was in the backyard, kind of half naked, I guess you'd say, with no shirt on, for her own, I guess, private use, pleasures.
You're
Disgusting.
An old, disgruntled woman who has 2 children by 2 different fathers. Get over it. He's not going to be a father to your children.
I have many friends, and I'm dating somebody.
Batteries.
No, we got along fine. He had a great sense of humor.
And now the next case.
Parties on Haney versus Neville Neiman. Step forward, please.
37-year-old florist Sue Haney says her neighbors Jeff Newman and Craig Neville stole her bicycle and destroyed it.
Bicycle that you owned.
Correct.
They were arrested. Correct. Bicycle that you owned.
Correct.
They were arrested. Correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Found guilty.
No.
Not if
We were arrested and convicted of receiving of stolen property.
But the stolen property was her bicycle.
Yes.
And when your bicycle was returned to you, it was returned in what condition?
Pieces.
So you're suing both of these young men for the cost of your bike, which is $202.64.
Right.
You want to tell me why you don't think that you are responsible to pay her? You want to tell me why you don't think that you are responsible to pay her? Let's start with you, Mr. Newman.
First of all, I paid a $200 restitution fine. I spent 2 days in jail. I almost lost my job over this, and I'm not a criminal. This is the first thing I've ever been in trouble for in my life.
So that's the reason why you don't think that you're responsible to pay her at least part of the money.
This is taking up way too much of my time already.
Now,
Shouldn't have taken it.
please.
Order.
Please.
I didn't take it.
Please. And you are Mr. Neville?
Yes.
Mr. Neville, would you tell me why you don't think that you are responsible to pay her at least part of the money for her bicycle?
Well, first of all, I didn't steal her bike, neither did Jeff. I bought the thing from somebody off the street.
Baloney! So let's start with that's baloney.
No, it's not.
Yeah, sure it is. Sure it is. It's baloney. You just so happen to have bought a bike that was stolen from somebody off the street, and you knew one of her children or something, according to the complaint. Is that right?
I've known all of her children for years.
You knew all of her children, so it was just a coincidence that you had the bicycle and it was taken apart and dismantled so that some of you had the wheels, some of you had the mainframe of the bike. That was all just a coincidence. Am I correct, sir? Just a coincidence?
Yes.
I want you to get him a copy of my book.
I think we would have been smart enough if we'd stolen this woman's bike to have gotten rid of the parts after we'd stolen them.
Mr. Neville, thieves are always stupid. You didn't buy this bike from some unknown person, sir. And if you did, I am certain that you would have told the police the name of the person that you bought the bike from. Did you?
Mm-hmm.
Did you?
Yes, I did.
You told them the name of the person, and did they contact that person?
I don't know.
Did you tell them where they could find that person?
I didn't know where the person lived.
Well, why don't you tell me how it came about that you bought this bicycle from, let us call him John Jones? Why don't you look at me, sir, and tell me how it came about that you bought this bicycle?
I was hanging out with the guy at a party. He told me he had a bicycle.
You were hanging out with a guy at a party.
Mm-hmm.
Which guy?
His name was Steve.
And so Steve told you he had a bike.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes.
Told you he had a bike.
Mm-hmm.
Is that right?
Yes.
Stupid trying to tell me that story?
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Don't you feel stupid trying to tell me that story?
No,
Don't you feel
it's the truth. I don't feel stupid telling the truth.
You don't know what the truth is. You wouldn't know the truth, Mr. Neville, if it came up and bit you in the behind. Each of you owes this lady $101 and 32 cents. You, sir, your excuse for not paying her is that this matter has taken up all too much of your time. Not an excuse. And your, sir, excuse that you bought this bicycle from, and I quote, Steve doesn't wash with me. You're entitled to your money, madam. You have a judgment for that amount.
Thank you
That's all.
very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right, please.
Judge Judy will continue in
Out the back door to your right, please.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Judges number 12 on the calendar in the matter of Edwards versus Edwards.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
I must tell you that when I read these papers over, your papers over last night, I was struck by the fact that I had seen these same problems with different names on them for 20 years. Sad situation. You two folks have been married for how long?
18 years.
And have how many kids?
3.
How long ago were you divorced?
Year and a half ago.
According to your papers, Mr. Edwards, your youngest child's name is Elizabeth. How old is she?
She's 8.
And you enjoy regular visitation with her. She lives with her mother.
Very liberal visitation now.
What kind of visitation do you enjoy with her?
I have every other weekend, like the standard rule. I also, on Mondays, I have her overnight until Tuesday when school starts. I have her 2 hours after school on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. And on Wednesday, I have her until 9 o'clock.
How old are your other 2 children?
I have one that's 19 and one that's 17.
The 19-year-old's boy or girl?
Girl. No one gets to see her much.
And the other child's boy?
Yes.
And who does he live with?
No one gets to see her much.
And the other child's boy?
Yes.
And who does he live with?
It was my ex-wife's year to have my daughter for spring break. Okay. This past spring break, it was at the beginning of April. It was my ex-wife's year to have my daughter for spring break. And because of our agreement on visitation, if she has to work and Elizabeth doesn't have school, she used to bring her to me at 7 in the morning. Well, because of this, I talked to my ex-wife about it, and I said, well, since you're going to be bringing her over here every day anyway, why don't you just let her go with me and my son, my fiance, on vacation with us in school. She used to bring her to me at 7 in the morning. Well, because of this, I talked to my ex-wife about it, and I said, well, since you're going to be bringing her over here every day anyway, why don't you just let her go with me and my son, my fiance, on vacation with us? And she said, yeah, that'd be fine.
And
Well,
it was your regular period to have her during that spring break?
Yes, it was.
But you were going to be working?
Correct.
Okay. So that sounds like a nice thing for Elizabeth.
Right.
Go ahead.
Well, I had scheduled, we were going to go to Cancun. Elizabeth's been there before and really wanted to go. I didn't have the money. I was waiting on my tax return to come in. So we changed that to, when my tax return came in, that we were going to go down to Daniel Boone National Forest and ride our dirt bikes. My girlfriend and myself and my son, we all ride four-wheel dirt bikes. So when the tax return came in, I went and bought Elizabeth her own, and we were teaching her to ride it. When a week before we were scheduled to leave, I get a letter from my ex-wife saying she was mad, which this is what she usually does when she's upset, is cancel any special visitation I have. So I got a letter a week before we were supposed to leave. Sorry, you can't take her with you now. At this time, I'd already put deposits down on a cabin, bought the dirt bike, bought her equipment so she wouldn't get hurt, which at her insistence made sure I had every piece there was. And I was just out a lot of money for setting up this vacation.
How much money were you out?
$1,547.47.
Elizabeth still has the dirt bike,
Yes, well, yes.
and that still has to ride the dirt bike.
Well, I had to buy the equipment.
I know, but she still has it, and she still uses
Correct.
it when she still has to ride the dirt bike.
Well, I had to buy the equipment.
I know, but she still has it, and she still uses
Correct.
it when she rides
Correct.
the dirt bike.
Right.
Did you lose your deposit on the cabin,
Yes, I
Mr.
did.
Edwards? And how much was that?
$175.
Why don't you tell me why you think your wife changed your former wife? Why don't you tell me why you think your wife changed your former wife changed her mind about you taking Elizabeth on vacation?
She has these tendencies to go off.
Well, you must have had an argument.
Obviously.
Well, obvious. So what was the
It doesn't take
argument?
much.
Well, what was the argument about?
I have no clue at this point.
Well, Miss Edwards, why don't you tell me?
He told me about a week and a half before that he was planning on filing for full custody, and the idea that I gave her up for spring break, which was supposed to be mine, was going to be used against me.
Were you having an argument at the time?
Yes.
Well, why don't you tell me what the argument was about? Because Mr. Edwards doesn't appear to be a stupid man, and it would be stupid to tip your hand about a plan for a lawsuit.
Well, he does that to me a lot because he knows it upsets me, and usually it doesn't turn out to be true. But he came out to the car, and we were talking about, actually we were talking about something totally different. We were talking about a boat.
Tell me about it.
We had two boats when we got divorced, and he got the sailboat and he gave me the speedboat, and I was planning on selling it, and I had asked him if I could have the keys to it because he had told me he had the keys, and he said, I don't know what you're talking about. And at that point I got mad and I said, spring break? Oops, I don't know what you're talking about. And he got very mad and he dented my car, pounded his fist into it.
Okay, so let me go through this now. You got into an argument about property.
Correct.
You wanted to sell the speedboat. You said to him, where are the keys? He said, I don't know what you're talking about. Does that sound familiar, sir?
About the keys to the boat? Yeah, that sounds very familiar.
And so you retaliated by saying, spring break, whoops, I don't know what you're talking about. And then he retaliated and said,
it's too late, you already agreed to spring break, and didn't you know, he said, I was going to use this against you anyways because I'm filing for full custody. So I sent him a letter saying that I had reconsidered spring break and that she was going to stay with me.
Don't you both feel foolish? Hmm?
A little bit.
Because ultimately, the one who was disappointed because you two people spoke in anger and in haste. Both of you. You too, Miss Edwards. That wasn't a nice thing to say. Whoops, spring break. I don't know what you're talking about. That's
true.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Miss Edwards, I don't know what you know about my judicial reputation. Sometimes I'm a screamer.
And later today,
I think he just buys a lot of extra stuff he doesn't need.
Men like toys.
Yes, they do. Cars, especially.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Chuck Edwards is suing his ex-wife, Tracy, over money spent on a vacation that included their 8-year-old daughter.
According to your papers, Miss Edwards, you went and spoke to your lawyer.
Yes, I did.
And your lawyer is the one who said to you, you don't have to give him spring break.
He said I was under no obligation to give him spring break.
I'm going to ask you this question. You really don't have to answer it. Did your lawyer say to you, but it's the right thing to do to give him spring break?
No, he didn't. He had me discuss it with my daughter and see how she felt about it, and she didn't care either way.
Yeah, we shouldn't put kids in the middle about that either. Kids don't have an opportunity of picking their parents. Very few parents are perfect. If you're fortunate enough to have two reasonable parents in a divorce situation, you're very fortunate. Miss Edwards, I think that what Mr. Edwards retorted to you was wrong when he said, I'm going to use the fact that you let her go on spring break with me when I petitioned the court for full custody. You don't intend to do that, do you, Mr. Edwards?
No, not at this time.
Well, does Elizabeth seem happy with her mom?
She seems, for what she's gone through, she seems very well adjusted. It's amazing.
Well, then that's a credit to both of you. Sounds to me as if you're two very nice people who got into a very stupid tiff. Miss Edwards, I don't know what you know about my judicial reputation. Sometimes I'm a screamer. I find it difficult to scream at you. I think that you're a nice lady.
Thank you.
And I don't think that the canceling of this trip is hopefully indicative of the way you do business. I also, Mr. Edwards, don't think that your response to your wife when she said the wrong thing to you, which was, whoops, spring break, what's spring break, and your retort to her, I'm going to seek full custody because you were angry, was appropriate. So I think that you were both wrong. Your out-of-pocket expenses were $175. You're going to split them.
Sounds fair.
Is that fair?
Yes.
Mr. and Mrs. Edwards, I wish you good fortune. You owe him $87.50. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Parties are excused. You may step out.
And now the next case.
Parties on Ronning versus Alexandrides. Step forward.
San Diego college student Susan Ronning says she loaned her boyfriend Jason Alexandrides $1,500 toward a car. Now that they've split, he won't pay her back.
You know when a loan becomes a gift? When the relationship is over. Did you ever hear that?
I've never heard that one.
Nor have I.
Good, because I just made it up. You should put it on coffee mugs. Ms. Roning?
Ronning. Yes.
Ronning. You and the defendant had a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship when you were both in the Navy, according to your papers.
Correct.
Is that right? And that relationship was a little under 2 years?
Just, yes.
During that time, you say he wanted to buy a car, and you lent him how much money?
$1,500
Put that on your bank card.
on my credit card, yes.
How much after that did you break up?
Probably about 4 months.
No money.
None.
Tell me what your arrangement was about paying back the money.
The loan happened in October, and I gave him till April to be able to pay me back. And he hadn't paid me anything since then or ever since.
Did you talk to him about it?
Yes, I did. And even when we were breaking up, I asked him about it. He said, don't worry about it, I'll pay you. I'm good on the money. And I trusted him, believed him, because he's paid me before. I have loaned him money before, and he has paid me back. And so I had no problem with it. And
Why
so,
was he always in need of money?
I don't know.
Did he ever lend you money?
No, he's never lent me money. I've always been more financially stable than he has for some reason. I think he just buys a lot of extra stuff he doesn't need. Just guys, you know.
Men like toys.
Yes, they do. Cars especially.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She's like, well, you know, don't worry about it. It's close to Christmas. Meaning that it was going to be like a gift. That, and I told her, I said I was not going to be able to pay her back. She said...
You told her that?
Yes, ma'am.
Susan Ronning is suing her former boyfriend, Jason Alexandridis, for money she says she loaned him for a car.
What kind of car was this?
1993 Ford Explorer.
Why didn't you pay her back the money?
1993 Ford Explorer.
Why didn't you pay her back the money?
To back up a little bit, she needed a car. So I had a 1989 Nissan 240SX that I sold to her. She only had $5,000. So I'm still paying on that loan today, and I have the loan paperwork with me. So I'm still paying on that loan today, and I have the loan paperwork with me. The bank released the title to her in her name and kept the $2,500 on the loan to my signature that I'm still paying on. So
she gave you the $5,000.
She gave me $5,000.
You were living together at the time.
Correct.
Okay. You didn't make a gift of the car to her.
No.
And you were living together.
Correct.
So, let's go on with the story.
I was getting to the point. Anyway, so the leftover that I was still paying on was just kind of, you know, that was the limit of her money, so I just told her I would just, that was it. Was just kind of, you know, that was the limit of her money, so I just told her I would just, that was it, pay on the rest. Because I owed $2,506 extra, okay? So later down the line when I needed...
You had another car.
Right, I needed to buy another car months later.
No, but you had another car when you sold her this car.
No.
So you were both using this car when you were living together?
Yeah, for a few months, period.
So for the few months, you sold her your car, she paid you for it, and the two of you together only had one car.
Right, but she
Just a second. You have to think about where he's going and think about whether he's hurting you or not by this story.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's wrong?
Then you needed a car.
I needed a car, so we went looking for cars together. She went with me. And we went to the Ford dealership, and we found the Explorer that I wanted. Now, I only had $1,500 down payment of my own money, and we needed $3,000, okay? And I financed the Explorer through my own lender, private bank. Susan gave me $1,500 from her.
Well, tell me how that came about, sir. You went looking for the Explorer, you went into the store, you had a salesman, he came over, he showed you this car. Let me hear how it happened.
Well, we just took it for a test drive.
Yes.
We liked it. And Susan and I had the conversation there at the dealership when they were gathering paperwork. I said, well, I don't have, you know, they were trying to make the deal. And she wanted to...
Tell me about the conversation. Now we're getting to it.
Okay. The conversation was, needed it, she would give it to me, $1,500. And I said, are you sure? Because I'm still paying on, needed it, she would give it to me, $1,500. And I said, are you sure? Because I'm still paying on the extra from the 240, you know. I'm still paying that $64.93 a month for that. And I'm not, you know, I just don't have the $1,500. She's like, well, you know, don't worry about it. It's close to Christmas. You know, we'll get through it. And that was the arrangement.
Close to Christmas, we'll get through what?
Well, meaning that it was going to be like a gift. That I told her, I said I was not going to...
Christmas, we'll get through what?
Well, meaning that it was going to be like a gift. That I told her, I said I was not going to be able to pay her back, you know, and she said...
You told her that sitting there?
Sitting there.
Sitting right there, you told her that?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that true?
That's absolutely not true.
Well, tell me your recollection of what happened.
Okay, when we were sitting at the dealership, he needed the $1,500. He only had $1,500. He asked that I loan him the $1,500.
What did he say?
He said, remember the last times that you've loaned me money, I've paid you back. I've been good about paying you back. I said, yeah. This is a lot of money, though. And he says, well, I've been good about the money. I promise to pay you back. I will pay you back. And I said, well, if you want this car and you want to make this transaction, I don't mind doing it as long as you pay me back. And he agreed to that. He said, fine, I'll pay you back.
I think probably somewhere in the middle of both of these stories lies the truth. Because quite frankly, it just doesn't sit well with me for two people who are living together, and I assume planning a future together if you're living together, to have that kind of in-depth discussion. For instance, you were so good about it in the past, you paid me money, I've lent you money, then you paid me back, and so I'm going to do this again. Somehow that doesn't sit right with me, nor does it sit right with me, sir. It's coming up towards Christmas and consider it a Christmas gift. Do you understand? So somewhere right in the middle of this is the accurate rendition. Now, when for the first time did you ask him back for the money?
I asked him in April. I talked to him before when we broke up, because we broke up before April, if he would pay me back. He said he would.
When did you break up?
We broke up in January.
Had you both decided that it wasn't a good relationship?
There's been other, he's kind of abusive and a little,
Great.
Yes.
And you were paying your bank card all this time?
Yes, I'm paying my,
And you were paying your bank card all this time?
yes, I'm paying my bank card. I had money on it already, and so I had interest accumulating. And so I still haven't been able to pay everything off because I'm still going to school. I'm a student at San Diego State, and I'm taking loans out. I take financial aid. There's no way I can give anybody money.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I was in the Navy for 4 years.
What are you doing now?
I'm still in the Navy now. That's my last.
I called the bank and I asked them. It's $325 accumulated with no payments.
So it's a little less than what you're suing for. You were suing for $2,000. So
Yes,
it's
just
less
to
than
make
that.
sure it would cover. That's my advisor said to do that.
So, sir,
Yes, ma'am.
you owe the money?
I don't believe so. But I'm not sitting up there, so here I am.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Listen.
To rule.
Listen, she purchased a car from you, even when you were together. You had payments on that car. Through love and affection, you could have said to her, listen, don't pay me any money for the car. I want you to have it because I want you to have a safe car to drive. You didn't do that.
I couldn't afford to do that.
Well, she says she goes to school. She can't afford to make you a gift of $1,500. You knew she was going to school, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you couldn't afford to do it, and she can't afford to do it. So she purchased a car from you. She had money saved up, I assume. I mean, who knows whether you could have gone out and sold that car for any more if you sold it privately. It's very possible that you couldn't have, that was really a fair market price for the car at the time you sold it to her. In any event, she paid you, you didn't pay her. That doesn't sound fair to me. So the judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,825. Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Matter of Sanchez versus Henry. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Well, each of you claim that the other owes you money. Just about the same amount of money, $2,600 change. Ms. Sanchez, you claim that this gentleman was living with you. He left owing you money for a variety of things, which you'll tell me about. You say you made a loan to her for lawyer, $1,500 for something. You'll tell me about that. So why don't you start from the beginning? How come the two of you were living together?
Sean said he had no place to go. And when we first moved together, he was getting kicked out of his apartment. I was leaving my apartment.
Had you been friends?
Yeah, we had been friends. We had met at work. And at the time, we were staying in a hotel, and it was like you pay every week. Then we found an apartment through one of his friends at work. He got the apartment in his name, okay? And then later I had got it put in my name. I have a rental agreement. And I was giving Sean the money because he knew the landlord. I had no idea, and I work at night. And so I would give Sean money every week to pay rent. Sean didn't pay rent. I have an agreement that we both signed saying that we're both 4 months in the hole in rent. And I'm like, you know, how in the world can this be? I give you money every week, you know?
What you're telling me is you gave him your share of the rent.
Every week.
How much was the rent?
$250.
$250 a month?
Each. Yes, each. It's $500 a month.
Okay. So you gave him your $250?
Yes.
And he never paid the rent?
No. I have a piece of paper saying right here that we're both, and he signed it. We both signed it, saying that we're 4 months in the rent, 4 months behind in the rent to this day.
Didn't I pay her 70?
I don't know. Do you have a receipt?
Shh, don't talk to each other. Don't talk to each other. Okay. You both signed that you're both responsible for half the rent. Did you pay the rent, sir?
When I moved out, I paid $750.
I'm talking about while you were living there with her.
We lived together for a whole year and a half.
How long were you living in the apartment together?
About a year and a half, 2 years.
And did you pay the rent?
Yes.
All that time?
Yes.
No, he didn't. He's lying.
Miss Sanchez,
Yes, ma'am.
you have rent receipts?
She had them all.
Did you ultimately pay all the rent?
Not yet. I am still in the hole because of Sean.
How did that come about, that you're in the hole?
Okay, Sean was unemployed. First, Sean moved out, okay, because me and Sean and my boyfriend were living together, right? And everything was fine, but we still
So
owed
the
her
three of
$2,000.
The three of you were living in the apartment?
Yes.
And the rent was $500?
Yes.
So
But
that
my
his share
boyfriend, my boyfriend didn't really live there. He wasn't responsible for any of the rent. That was my responsibility. He didn't hardly have any clothes there, okay? He was just,
You just told me
there.
the three of you were
two,
living
in
there.
a two-bedroom apartment. In a two-bedroom apartment.
Yeah.
He had his own room. I had my own room. He had his company. I had my company. So my boyfriend didn't really live there. He had all his clothes someplace else. My boyfriend did. Sean was fired from his job, came crying to me that he didn't have any place to go. Okay, no place to go. He couldn't go live with his brother. They're having problems. He can go live with his father. They're having problems.
So what you're saying to me, madam...
So I let him move back in. I let him move back in on the agreement that he helped me with households.
In May of 1997, sir, you signed an agreement that you owed her a total of, well, this would be $1,000, right? Because it says that total owing was $2,000. And Henry and Sanchez are responsible for 50% of the total, and you signed this, correct? So you acknowledged in May that you owed her $1,000.
Yeah.
Right? Did you pay her?
I paid the landlord $750.
No. I'm not saying what you paid the landlord. I'm saying what you paid her.
Why would I owe her?
Because I gave you the money every day to pay the rent, and you didn't, stupid.
Now, you want me to dismiss your lawsuit?
No.
This is $2,000. Each of you owe half of that. So that's $1,000. Did you pay it or did you not pay it?
I paid $750. I guess I still owe the landlord $250.
When did you pay the landlord $750?
July?
When did you move out?
July?
No.
Shh. Show me the receipt.
I don't have that.
That makes this easy. So that's $1,000. What else does he owe you for?
He bought, through his work, I got a VCR because he could get it cheaper from Dow Stereo.
How much did you pay for it?
$160.
Okay.
That's all the money that I gave him for the VCR.
How much did you pay for the VCR?
Got a receipt right here.
Okay.
$213.
$213, and you gave him $160. Where's the receipt?
I didn't ask Sean for receipts.
Okay. Did she give you $160 for the VCR?
Every
No.
day I get...
You wanted a video camera.
Listen to me.
But you didn't.
You each want money from each other. It would be very foolish. So you say you bought it for $160, and you're going to show me a receipt for $213. And you claim that when he moved out, why did he move out?
Because he wouldn't do his chores, nor did he pay rent. The first month that he moved back in after he was unemployed, he went to Las Vegas, okay? That was on Memorial Day. Didn't tell me anything. And then he comes home, oh, I'm broke, I went to Las Vegas. Like, what the hell you go to Las Vegas for? Oh, so I could see if I can win some more money. And I'm like, you've got to be stupid. And every day, that month that he was there and he was unemployed, I gave him money, because every day I had to go to work.
Are you finished?
Yes.
What's the address of this apartment where you live together?
802, apartment A. He didn't help me with the chores. He didn't help me take care of the
I don't care. I'm not your therapist, madam. This is a court.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
Are you telling me that this attorney, under the penalties of perjury in the state of California, is lying?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, really? Maybe I'll call him.
And later today,
She was in high demand because she was a natural blonde and had natural big breasts.
I'm sure if I chose to pursue that career instead of a research scientist, I would be in high demand, yes.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy.
Dancer LaDonna Sanchez wants her former close friend Sean Henry to pay her for back rent. Sean says she kicked him out.
So what happened with the VCR that you said was yours?
He took it from me. I went to sleep. He went in my room and took it out of my room.
Okay. Now what's your story?
I let her use it. I never said she can have it. I bought it.
Utter crap.
Shh, shh.
I said you could use it.
Now, you also say that you made some loans to him. You want to tell me about that?
The month that he moved in, since he was unemployed, he would ask me for money every day.
I'm not talking, Miss, listen to me. I'm not talking about the $5 and the $10 that you say you gave him because he was unemployed. Did you lend him any large sums of money for which he promised to make payment?
Not all at one time. Every day, can I borrow some money? Can I borrow some money?
Did you keep a record of that?
He was my best friend.
Did you keep a record? The answer is no. So you're just guessing about how much money you lent him?
No, I'm not. I knew how much money I had saved in my drawer before he had moved in.
So how much money did you give him?
$350.
I don't believe that you can.
I did. Every day I gave him $20 or $30 every day because he needed it.
So
he
you-
needed
did
it
you
for
write
gas.
down-
He was supposed to go look for a
Did
job.
you write
I bought him news.
You're not listening to me, Miss Sanchez. I said, did you write down these numbers?
I didn't think I had to.
Well, then that's a problem.
He's supposed to be my best friend. He was supposed to be my little brother.
You're countersuing up for a lot of money too. Let me hear it.
Well, one time
Not well. Look at me.
she got arrested coming back across the border, and she needed a lawyer. So she called me crying, I need a lawyer. So I paid $1,500 for a retainer to try and help her out.
When was this?
June 26, '96.
Does that sound familiar to you?
No.
You just took out a piece of paper. What is that?
This is the piece of paper that was the only thing that I gotten from that lawyer. I saw that lawyer once. I knew it wouldn't do me any good. I cussed Sean out on the phone about what do I need a lawyer for? The lawyer wasn't going to do me any good.
Just a second. You went to see a lawyer.
No, I didn't. The lawyer came to jail. And I'm like,
Lawyer came to jail. Lawyers don't do anything for free.
I didn't ask him for the lawyer. I never asked him for the lawyer. And if I did ask for him a lawyer, it wouldn't be from him. It would have been from Rude, my boyfriend.
Listen to me. Where were you when you paid this lawyer? Were you in
I was
California?
Yeah.
Does he have a receipt?
I have a feeling you two people deserve each other because you are, Miss Sanchez, irritating me. And I'm just about ready to show you the door. Do you understand?
Yes.
With nothing. Not your $1,100, nothing, if you do it again. You got it? I want you to show me any documentation, sir, that you have with regard to this lawyer.
Right here.
Can I see it, please? Well, this clearly is a letter from an attorney indicating that he accepted a non-refundable retainer in the amount of $1,500 from the defendant on your behalf on the 26th of June, 1996.
That's his ex-girlfriend's boyfriend's father. Why wouldn't he write him that piece of paper?
Are you telling me that this attorney, under the penalties of perjury in the state of California, is lying? Are you?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, really? Maybe I'll call him.
No,
Maybe I'll call him. You want me to call him?
Can you look at this for me
Sure.
for a minute?
I asked you a question. Do you think I have to call him?
No.
Right.
But he was never my attorney. I did not ask Sean to get me a lawyer.
How did you find out she had been arrested?
She called me from jail.
I believe that, Miss Sanchez.
I did not ask him.
How would he know that you're in jail unless you called him?
I did call him from jail.
And what did you call him for? To say, how are you?
No, we lived together.
This happened a long time ago, correct? Did you ever sue her for this money?
No.
Why?
So I cared about her.
Good.
Excuse me, Your Honor, may I say something?
Sure.
When the lawyer
People deserve
thing
each
came
other.
about,
You're lying, Miss Sanchez. Don't lie to me. I don't like when you lie to me.
I did not. I'm not lying.
Sure you are. Now, was there ever an agreement that you had with her that she would repay this lawyer's fee to you?
Well, we had an agreement.
Mr. Henry, you don't want to go down that road, sir. I guess you do. You want to tell me about this agreement? Tell me what words we used, Mr.
Well,
Henry.
she said, get me out of here. Whatever it costs.
And you said?
I'll try the best I can. I borrowed the money from my brother.
No, don't tell me how you borrowed the money. She said, get me out of here. Right?
Yes.
And you did?
Mm-hmm. Well, I tried.
Okay. No, an agreement to pay it back means get me out of here, whatever it costs, and I will pay you back. That's a contract. That's an oral contract. But you didn't have that with her.
No.
Okay. Well, that's what I thought. So, that's honest.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
You never paid rent. You didn't clean up the house. You didn't clean up your stuff. I had to sit up there and pick up after you. Bought food and everything.
And later today,
she begged me for sex, Your Honor. Literally.
Mr. Swan, you're not that attractive, sir.
Thank you.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Exotic dancer LaDonna Sanchez wants her former close friend Sean Henry to pay her for back rent, loans, and a stolen VCR.
A, I can't figure out who owns the VCR. I have a bill here for $213. So
She's also
I can't-
caused damage to my truck.
Shh. So I can't make a determination with regard to the VCR. I can only make a determination with regard to the contract that you both entered into, indicating that you are indebted to her for the amount of $1,000. Now, you want to tell me about this truck?
Yeah, she's damaged it.
Well, tell me about that.
Well, one time at work, she said she locked the keys in, so she had to break the back window, and I had to pay for that.
I paid him back.
Shh.
And when we were in a fight, I wouldn't let her drive it. She didn't have a license or insurance on it.
So what did she do to the truck?
She kicked it. Put a nice dent on the driver's side door.
Let me see.
And I got estimates of the damage right here.
Looks like there's lots of damage on this truck. Lots of scratches on this truck.
From his DUIs.
Okay, how about your boyfriend kicking it?
Oh, wonderful. You ready? Dismissed! Dismissed! Goodbye.
Parties are excused. Step out.
I don't understand why it was dismissed. Because I talked? He was supposed to be my best friend. Okay, he dogged me just because I won't be his stupid girlfriend. Sorry. Now it's dismissed because you're stupid. Never see my fucking money again. Make me sick.
And now the next case.
Parties on Maris versus Swan. Step forward.
32-year-old research scientist Ann Maris is suing her former friend, physical education instructor William Swan, for unpaid credit card bills.
Why do women give men credit cards?
I think it has something to do with the word convinced. Mr. Swan looked me straight in the eye and told me he loved me, wanted to marry me, that I thought he had morals.
Mr. Swan, go ahead.
I thought he had morals.
How did you meet him?
I met him in the produce section of an Asian store, Asian market.
And how long did you know him before you put his name on your credit
5
card?
months.
And had you dated during that 5 months?
Beginning about 2 or 3 months prior to that, we started seeing each other on a more regular basis and talking pretty much every day on the phone, at least once.
So he needed some credit, and you said you'd give him credit on your card.
He said one morning, I talked to him from work, and he said he desperately needed a refrigerator, that he was getting skinny, and that his brother wouldn't loan him the money, and that it would be about $500. And I told him I didn't have the money, and I thought we could find one a lot cheaper than that, as I had paid $100 for mine, and that I would be willing to let him put it on a credit card that had no other money on it, so we could be clear. And he had told me he was going to pay it out of his tax return, and he didn't know why his brother wouldn't loan him the money.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
To make a long story short, because
Sure.
Mr. Swan is going to tell me what his defense is,
Mhm.
he ran up bills on the credit card totaling $1,500.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And he does not dispute that.
No.
Is that right, sir?
That's correct.
But this is your defense, that you had an agreement with her. And your agreement was that as long as you maintained the payments on the credit card, that she would keep it open.
Absolutely.
But that there came a point when you took out a significant amount of money. How much, $1,100?
Yeah.
And that after you took out that amount of money, she closed the credit card down.
Yes.
So your defense is that she breached the agreement
Yes.
by canceling the credit card, and therefore you do not owe her this money. That's what your defense is.
Something to that effect.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
Well, why don't you tell me what I got wrong?
Well,
Why don't you?
not that I don't necessarily owe, but the fact that she breached our contract with reference to me keeping the payments paid that I shouldn't have to pay because she cut it off basically out of spite because I wouldn't have sex with her.
Mm-hmm. That's not true, of course.
She
Yeah.
begged me for sex, Your Honor.
What is that?
Literally.
Mr.
And
Swan.
I just, you know.
Mr. Swan, you're not that attractive, sir.
Thank you.
What does this have to do about owing?
She
her
thought
mo-
so.
Order.
Well, sometimes love is blind. Mr. Swan, you're not serious with me, are you? You're not trying to tell this to me with a straight face that you don't owe the money that you took out on her credit card because she breached the agreement when she cut off your credit.
I never said I didn't owe it.
Are you sure you said, as far as I'm concerned, she broke the agreement and I have no intention of giving her a dime?
That's what I said. But I
That's
didn't
what you
say I
said
didn't
right
owe
here
her.
in your answer.
Yeah, but I didn't
Good.
say I didn't owe
You
her.
owe her $1,500 judgment for the plaintiff. That's right.
Parties are excused. You may.
Hello mọi người nha, chào mừng mọi người đã quay trở lại với channel Tô Vẽ Tranh trên kênh YouTube của mình. Và hôm nay chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau đi tô màu và hoàn thành chiếc bức tranh hình ảnh là cậu bé đang đứng cầm một chiếc vòi xịt và bên cạnh thì có một chú cún rất là đáng yêu. Và chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô màu bức tranh này của mình nha các bạn. Và mình sẽ cùng với mọi người đi tô màu cho bức tranh này của mình nhé. Đầu tiên mình sẽ tô màu cho phần chiếc áo trước. Mình dùng màu vàng tô màu cho phần họa tiết bên trên. Chiếc áo này thì mình sẽ tô màu đỏ đô nha các bạn. Đây là hình ảnh của một chiếc áo dài nha. Tiếp theo mình sẽ tô màu cho phần chiếc quần bên trong nhé. Một chiếc quần màu xanh. Và đôi ủng này nữa. Mình sẽ tô màu cho phần đôi ủng này là một đôi ủng màu xám nhé. Và mình sẽ tô màu cho phần chiếc mũ nha. Mũ mình sẽ tô màu xanh. Chiếc mũ đã được mình tô màu xanh xong nha các bạn. Tiếp theo mình sẽ tô màu cho chú cún này nha. Một chú cún màu vàng. Chiếc vòi nước cậu bé đang cầm trên tay thì mình sẽ tô màu xanh dương đậm nha. Và video mình đã hướng dẫn cho các bạn cách tô màu bức tranh về ảnh một cậu bé đang cầm chiếc vòi nước trên tay để được mình tô màu hoàn thành xong. Và video hôm nay cũng sẽ kết thúc đây. Mọi người theo dõi video hãy nhớ like, share, đăng ký kênh ủng hộ mình nhé. Bye bye mọi người.